Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, demons of all ages, it is I, D.H. Thorne, with my good buddy, the Flesh Priest, blasting out at you from the lonely dungeon of my living room temple, we'll say, on this beautiful Thursday evening toward the middle of the beginning of the 2020 apocalypse.
Please send snacks. I'm in his dungeon with him, and
He's very disappointed. It's not a rape dungeon. He thought it would be. That's what the advertisement said. He came ready to go, and
I came with an empty stomach expecting some protein shakes, but
oh, you could be louder. The audio engineer in the house says you could be louder, my friend.
Oh, me?
Yeah, you.
Me? Ah, damn. That's, it's not the first time somebody's told me I need to be louder.
See, I theoretically could...
Hold on, I got it on my end. I'm fucking with my gain.
Oh, okay, yeah.
There we go.
Sound exactly the same to me. Let me, I don't want to turn you up too much, because if I do, that'll turn everything up.
No, hold on. I got it. Everybody will let me know if I'm fucking blowing out their eardrums.
Yeah. Sound engineer person, would you please come and let us know if it's better? I know it's about a good 30 seconds or so difference.
It's always really amusing when people call in and they forget to mute the stream.
Should I turn myself down?
No, you can't hear me.
Let me turn myself down a little bit.
But yeah, for those of you who have never called in, you gotta mute the stream, because we'll have people that call in and it's funny as fuck because they'll hear us speaking to them and then they'll hear the exact same thing like 30 seconds later and they'll get tripped up over, what? You just said that.
Yeah, that's always a big problem. There's actually something that's used in riot control and stuff, that they will use like a sound cannon on you where it records you and plays you back like 1 second off or something like that, and it makes it impossible to talk.
Yeah, no, it is, because I have that issue with my my DAW, my audio workstation, where this setup gives me a slight delay from what it gives me. So whenever I try singing, it's in double, and it's fucking maddening to stay on the beat in double, and I got such a complicated fucking botching.
Yeah, I know. When I monitor myself when I'm doing my own singing, like I got to make sure that my timing is just right on the receiving end there. A couple of milliseconds isn't too bad. For those of you who don't know, I've switched to a daytime schedule, so this is actually the actual time of day for me now. When it's 10 o'clock here for me now, it's actually 10 o'clock instead of, normally it would be around noon for me. When I'd come on and do this, it would be around noon in my own personal, my own little personal time zone. But now, nope, it is actually 10 o'clock. I've been up for, I don't know, a long time.
We'll have to start moving it earlier or something, because...
Nah, I'll be fine, because eventually I'll go back to being a night owl again. But, yeah. So, but yeah, hi everybody. How's everybody doing? Is everyone enjoying the early stages of the apocalypse? Are you guys enjoying the show? Are you guys ready for the hostile takeover of either us or someone else sometime in the near future? Are you guys looking forward to the fireworks? Are you guys enjoying the show? Are you terrified? Are you excited? Are you guys prepared even? You got, if nothing else, you've got the holidays coming up, and that alone is a nightmare scenario for some people. You're going to have to visit family. You're going to have to deal with getting presents you don't want, or someone spoiling you, or maybe you forgot to give somebody a present. And some of you guys burn candles instead of have trees, and that changes everything too, right? So I don't know what's worse for some people, Christmas or Thanksgiving. What would you say, Fleshy? What would be worse?
So I don't actually got to worry about it nowadays. Hold on. I don't gotta worry about it all that much, but back when I was still living near family and everything, Christmas for sure. That was a fucking shit show and a half.
I like most of the holidays. I wouldn't say I never had a bad experience on them, but I actually like the holidays. My favorite is always going to be Halloween. Christmas is definitely a close second in the right scenario. Like if I've got a present I'm really looking forward to either giving or getting or something like that. When I was growing up, I loved, like, Christmas was way up there. And the thing I don't like is when too much family's involved, right? Like for me, Christmas was never about family. It was about, well, first of all, my family always celebrated Christmas on Christmas Eve. My mom said it was the European way or something like that. So we did it like that. We always did. Her mother and her father, it's what they did, and so that's what she did. And so it was kind of cool because I got a head start on Christmas compared to everybody else. So I didn't have to wait around for the morning to get up and slam my way down the stairs half asleep and try to crack presents open and have fun. No, it was about 8, 9, 10. So we'd have dinner and then we'd do like whatever celebration we were going to do, and then Santa Claus would come. We'd make like a big production out of that. Sometimes we'd go Santa Claus hunting, and my mom would take us outside the house. And the reason we did that was, of course, while we were outside looking for Santa Claus, everybody else that didn't go looking for Santa Claus would bring all the presents out and put them under the tree. And then my grandmother would flash the camera at us, the flash bulb, and my mom would say, "Oh, did you see that flash? I think that was Santa Claus." And we'd be stupidly, "Ooh," and like we go run into the house, and there'd be all the presents, and the milk and cookies would be all eaten up, and it was magic, guys. It was absolutely magic, and it was great. No, that was good stuff. But then of course comes the family drama, and as you get older, people get drunk and people fight. It's never pretty anymore. But yeah.
Yeah, in my case, I didn't have to wait until I was older for that. That just So hold on. I want to pick something apart. Of what you said right there, you don't believe in Santa Claus.
Oh, not the physical manifestation of the Claus. No, I'm more the spiritual manifestation of the Claus. I believe is entirely real. The egregore of the Santa Claus is definitely plausible. I believe, as well as the Krampus as well.
I'm just gonna reference the little infographic I got right here because if you believe in Santa, these are the mental hurdles you got to go through. Oh, Santa brings everyone their presents on Christmas night with his magic. Done. If you are a fucking denier, if you're into the conspiracy that Santa is not real, then here's the leaps of logic you need to go through in order, everybody. He's made up by corporations to sell Christmas stuff, but also literally every single parent around the world is all in on it. And regular people just buy all that shit and wrap it themselves.
This is exactly my childhood. This is exactly my rhetoric. Cause I've always been a conspiracy theorist. Keep going.
The cookies just happened to be eaten the next day without Santa Claus's involvement. And, that guy at the mall, that's just an imposter in disguise.
Yep. And NORAD, they're just faking it, right? NORAD's just faking it.
Yeah.
I mean, they'd have to be in on it too. And we can trust NORAD. That's the goddamn government, right?
You know what? I have seen a couple of somebody just posted the fucking mushroom with Santa Claus. I did not actually realize those fucking Santa Claus mushrooms grow around here. I literally walked right outside my door and just there on the lawn like, that's a Santa mushroom.
The Smurf shrooms, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, la, 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 la.
I could make that into some tea.
Would you eat a Smurf? Let's make today's episode about, would you eat a Smurf like Gargamel? Would you do that?
I need to change my lighting. Hold on. Would you eat a Smurf? It depends. It depends on how they're cooked and depends on how hungry I am.
I feel like they taste like blue Play-Doh.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I'd absolutely believe that.
I mean, maybe if you're lucky, they'll taste like a blue Airheads, but I think they taste like a blue Play-Doh.
Did Gargamel ever actually get to eat a Smurf? Like, was there some explanation for his obsession with, like, was it some type of witchcraft
Oh
thing?
yeah, no. Supposedly, if he ate a Smurf or something, he would be immortal. I think that was what it was. If he ate a Smurf, he would be young and immortal again. If I remember correctly, I have to look it up. I'm pretty sure that was why.
Okay, because I just had the thought of, like, if he has never eaten a Smurf, but he is dead set on eating Smurfs, like, I don't know, that would be like have you ever had alligator or one of the, or like
No,
rattlesnake?
I've been
one of those
told that it's
weird
good
meats?
though. I've been told that it's really good.
Yeah, so like what if your whole goal was to just go out to fucking Utah or something and just, I'm gonna catch a rattlesnake. I'm gonna catch a rattlesnake. It's gonna taste delicious. And just you had 10 seasons of trying to catch a damn rattlesnake just to realize, hey, it's not actually that good. I don't want to finish this plate.
That
When
was
you
that
finally
was
get it.
actually, I believe, Adult Swim's Robot Chicken did that, because I think he did actually eat one. It was like, oh, nope.
I think you're right. I think that's where the thought came
It
from.
could be. I think it was a good moment. It was a good moment in TV history. That was definitely a funny one. Yeah. No, of course, when I was growing up, the big joke was, there was only one lady Smurf. That was always the big joke. That where did she come from? Apparently, she was a boy, and then through magic got turned into a girl. That was the story I heard. So I don't know. She just, obviously very popular. And then, of course, out of nowhere, like little kid Smurfs appear. If you remember, in one of the later seasons, there was there was a whole bunch of
children of the trough.
yeah. Like, where did they come from? And then, like, whose children were they? I don't think they were. Whatever her name was, the girl Smurf. I don't think they were her kids. I think they were like the cousins or something. It was kind of creepy, man. It was kind of weird. Kind of weird, guys. Kind of weird.
That so somebody actually suggested it. I think it was Mama Mystic on our Discord. Our Conjure Mama. Got the
Conjure
name
Mama.
wrong.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say that sounds right. Conjure Mama.
Yeah, or no, I think I'm getting. So Conjure Mama actually asked a question of our thoughts on the effect pop culture has and its effect on magic and entity work.
Oh, for
She
sure.
commented, maybe we do play D&D, or sorry, let me just read this out. Can we maybe throw in a side of, just because we play D&D does not mean we are attempting to cast Fireball? I mean, I do every time somebody pisses me off in traffic, like hell. But obviously we know the difference between fantasy and reality.
Yeah. But should we? That would be the question I would ask. One of the bits of advice I give a lot of novices is to practice role playing. Role playing is a very effective way to, first of all, learn to manipulate energy. The performance of magic is not unlike the performance of opera or theater. It is not unlike the performance of role-playing in a D&D game. It is not unlike singing a song. It is not unlike playing a game. It is very much a holistic practice whereby, this is why you see a lot of people who are brilliant masterminds of they're bibliophiles and have mastered hundreds and hundreds of books of magic and still live in their mom's basement with no success whatsoever. One of my early gripes when I got into the magical scene was looking around and going, there's no feeling in any of these people. When they're doing ritual, I'm just not feeling it. There's no, it's like they're just talking at something, and they're cold, and there's nothing going on internally.
That's to steal it for a second. That actually is a lot like playing D&D, which is
Yep.
how we met.
Mhm.
Of how fucking awful is it when you get a guy on there of my name is Kronos and I am a barbarian. I'm gonna roll
Of the
this
Rage Tribe?
D20 with it. Yeah, my family was killed in a massacre, and I'm very upset about it.
I'm
No,
very
fuck that. You
disappointed.
want to be the guy of, I am Cornar the
Yes.
Threefold.
Yeah.
I dine on the testicles of my enemies, and I will mount your heads upon an axe.
Yeah, that was kind of like, I think
that guy.
we had that one dude that we didn't get along with, and I remember he was testing me, and I eventually got like into character to scold him, and it was like, I remember like looking at the camera doing like fully in character of that guy being angry, and I remember distinctly you were like a little impressed by it. You were like, "Ooh, he looks angry," and
Yeah.
yeah, you know, you absolutely. So this is so I'll get into the pop culture part in a second, but it is absolutely necessary to invoke your true sorcerer self. Some would call it, there's different ways of describing it, right? There's different layers of it. There's invoking your higher guardian angel, or invoking your true God self, or all these different traditions have different ways of referring to it. And I keep it a little bit more, you know, not mundane, but certainly a little bit more pedestrian, in that I describe it more as invoking your sorcerer archetype, invoking your sorcerer character. You know, like create a character that is D.H. Thorne the sorcerer, or whatever you call yourself in magic. Create this character in your mind of who this is, and then as you're getting into the ritual, or whatever it is you're doing, whether it's a ritual or not. When I say ritual is like a catch-all for when you're doing something magical.
Mm-hmm.
When you're doing something magical, take a moment, you know, breathe, whatever, and get into the character of that person. You have to invoke your personal sorcerer archetype. And it's difficult for someone beginning because they've never created this character before.
Yeah.
But once you've got even a glint of who that is, you need to lean into that like hardcore and just go with it. Dress like it, talk like it, in the ritual context. Then I also include doing that in my daily life. You know, D.H. Thorne is the public face of my sorcerer self, and that is fully integrated in much of my daily life as well. I'm like a movie star or a rock star that goes by like Prince. Like Prince changes his name, right? And he goes and buys groceries, and he signs Prince on his checks, right? So by the same token, like now I get in trouble because when I have to sign a check in my real name, I forget and I start signing the wrong name. So it's pretty funny.
That's not suspicious at all. I'd like to open a bank account.
Yeah. And Cult of the Sun says it probably helps I used to be an actual LARPer. Yes, it does. So this is the thing, like I get a kick out of when I get my haters. There's not many of you, thankfully, but when I get my haters show up and they're like, "Oh, this is just another LARPer." I go, yes, I am. A big part of what I'm doing is LARPing. But you're too stupid and dim-witted to understand that that's a necessary feature of what we're doing. You cannot do anything that we do if you do it cold. Part of that means you have to get into the character of what you're doing. Now, this leads me into the pop culture side, because a big part of getting into character involves a certain mythology. Now, mythology is nothing but pop culture from an age, period, time, whatever. The current mythology is Batman, Superman, Trump. You know, these are all mythological figures right now, right? These are characters. And 100 years from now, they're going to mean a lot more than they do now, even if they mean a lot now. So you'll notice that we treat the pop culture stories, the allegories of 500 years ago, as real beings today. Not that we shouldn't, but I'm telling you it's an irony, because 500 years from now, the characters that are pop culture now will certainly, especially things like Lovecraft, right? There are people practicing Lovecraftian magic right now, and they get success, and it's barely 100 years old. Give it 500 years, when especially some of the origins of this are kind of clouded a little bit more, where the books burn, and especially if we get the full apocalypse like they're planning for us, you know, we may end up with a lot of lost links to history, and we'll go, Cthulhu was a god that was worshipped by Pacific Islanders or something. What was this being? You know, in 500 years, don't be surprised. Don't be surprised. People will come across our books, my books, Crowley. They'll think these were parts of big religions or something, big cult religions or something. and their interpretations are going to be really wild. And I look forward to being an egregore floating around
trying to
that.
figure out the fucking three seashells.
Yeah, right. Yeah, really. So when we're talking about pop culture, there's people who have successfully adapted pop culture icons in Magic and pop culture methods in Magic, and it works for them. Now, this is loosely a chaos magic theory, because chaos magic is all about psychology mixed with spirituality, mixed with existentialism, all these different things come together as a broth that's awesome. You know, chaos magic is a general train of thinking I really appreciate. I call myself loosely a chaos magician. Definitely what I do is in the spectrum of chaos magician for sure. But I'm not a strict a lot of chaos magicians these days are fedora wearing, sigil jerkers, right? That's a joke. I'm sure some of you, that is exactly what you are, and I don't mean to insult you, but that is the joke that I use. Because a lot of chaos magicians are postmodernists, and they don't use a lot of the very classical archetypes and symbols. They're part of a postmodern millennial thinking, where a lot of that is kind of mocked, right? A lot of that is kind of not so cool. So, there are chaotes that practice that way. But then there's some that are very much classically grounded. So I'm more classically grounded. If I was going to call myself a chaos magician, I'm classically grounded, which means I like the aesthetic of the classical magician, the classical sorcerer, like the Disney villain, evil's wizard, right? That's how I like to see myself. That is what I like to invoke and see myself as. I don't see myself as Harry Dresden, certainly the fuck not Harry Potter, that fucking jerk. Freaking I hate Harry Potter. More like Warlock from the movie from the 80s, or I don't know, Darkness from the movie Legend or something. That's how I see my internal self. So anyway, pop culture's influence, we have to remember pop culture is seeded by the mythology of the past and the archetypes of eternity, of the collective consciousness. Superman is not unlike, say, a Hercules, okay? His father, not unlike a Zeus. His mother, not unlike, I guess a Hera or a Freya or something like that. So all of these archetypes are the same, and they wear different threads, basically. They wear different clothing, okay? And they are perpetuated in our cultures and recycled. And this is why you have so many gods and demons that we call masks for something else. This is why you have people will look up a spirit, and they will almost always show off that they know the spirit by saying who the spirit was in a different culture, as if that somehow is proof that they've met the spirit. I do this too. It's a fun game that we play, so I'm not denying it.
That's all. To fucking steal the reins for a second, that's always something that I get it, but it also always seems so weird to me. That would kind of be like somebody saying oh yeah, Flesh Priest, yeah, I totally know that guy. Did you know he used to go by such and such, and reveal my past name of okay, good for you, but why not say yeah, fucking Flesh Priest, that's the dude. He's got a Nicolas Cage pillowcase hanging above his fireplace. It's just do something who gives a fuck about the past name?
Right. That's exactly right. People have come to me who was Lucifer and blah blah blah, and I've told people my theories and findings on who he was, and what other spirits are syncretized with him. In different cultures. And that can get a little sloppy though, and Lucifer kind of scolded me for that. He says, we present ourselves to you as these different spirits for a reason. We want you to be able to resonate with us in whatever way is best fitting for your culture and your current mind, and etc. So if I said to you, Enki and Ea and Lucifer were the same being, some people would say, hell yeah, and some people say, no, it's not. It was Venus is Lucifer, and there's all these different interpretations. People are going to get weird about it. But if I told you that they were the same, and you go and you try to practice that and it doesn't feel right, it's going to feel wrong. Okay? So my suggestion to people is find the archetypes that you're excited about, and then find the mask for that archetype that really resonates with you the best. If that mask doesn't resonate with you very well, then by all means switch out to a different one. The important thing are the archetypes. If you don't like Greek and Roman mythology, ignore it. You can transpose a lot of things to Sumerian mythology, for example, Akkadian mythology and Sumerian mythology. It's a little tougher to transpose Egyptian, because Egyptians didn't go by that celestial planetary, the 7 planets so much as they went by, other things, we'll say. Sometimes stars and constellations for sure. Wasn't quite one for one. It's a little tougher to go from Egypt to Roman gods, but there was a lot of synchronization there as well. You can actually, you'll find out, because the Greeks and the Romans, the Greeks, Romans, and Egyptians were kind of coterminous in time. There was a lot of syncretization between their different gods and things. There was definitely a few. So you can find some connections there if you do your history research. But I would say look at archetypes. And archetypes would be, for example, I don't know. I'm trying to give you an easy one.
There's maybe not easy, but the classic Jungian example of the Great Mother.
Yeah, the Great Mother, right? The Great Mother is in almost every one except for Christianity. The Great Mother is in virtually every mythology in some form. And there's a dark mother and a light mother and a this and so you got your Liliths, and then you got your Nanas, you got your this and that. There's all these different mother figures in the different cultures and the different spiritual planes. And it's up to you to find the one that speaks to you the best, and what reason it has. Like you'll notice if you hang out with me magically long enough, you'll notice that I run the gamut from Hindu deities to Lovecraftian deities to demons to pagan gods to heathen gods to ancient Sumerian stuff to Egyptian stuff. To me, it's a big, beautiful, open, hidden a candy store. And you can get a little schizophrenic, and this is why I recommend don't play Pokemon with spirits. Don't try to catch them all; you'll go crazy. Because there's the ancient Mesopotamians, the ancient Sumerians, according to my research, had a minimum of like 2,000 or 3,000 gods and goddesses, a minimum. They had a major set, but then they had there was a god for everything. There was a god of doorways. There was a god of bricks. There was a god so there's gods for everything. And the same is likely true, close to it anyway, for Greeks and Romans too. If you really look, it's pretty obvious that we only know a small fraction of the specific gods, spirits, muses, demonic forces that they would have recognized. Same thing with Egyptian and everything. Look at Kek. Like Kek is a great example. Everybody knows about Osiris and Ra and all these different things. But what about Kek, right? And Kek supposedly has come back in meme form. So there's like an endless parade. And that's because you can put almost any number of masks. It's kind of like there's only so many stories you can tell, but you can dress them up any way you want. There's only so many ways you can tell. There's only so many heroes' journeys that can exist. But the setting that they exist within is almost infinite. And that's the thing. Like when you've watched Star Wars, you've watched an archetypal story of the hero's journey, and that story repeats all around the world in different cultures in different ways.
And in the second series as well.
Yeah, a little too on the nose, some would say. Fucking rip-off artist. God, I'd like to freaking punt fucking Kathleen Kennedy, but that's just me, I guess.
I feel like you were referring to Disney era Star Wars, in which case still yes, but as far as original to new trilogy, like that was intentional. It was supposed to mirror, like it was a conscious choice, but it definitely was. It was still a fucking thing.
I mean, Lucas, and I always forget the other guy. Nobody talks about the other guy, but the other guy was the brilliant writer of the plot. So Lucas invented the universe, the characters, and all that good shit. and he was the final arbiter of what was done. But I forget the name of the writer, but he did the first 2 movies, and then he walked off on the third one, or was fired, or however it happened. That's why the third one. That's why the third one kind of was like good, but not as good. Like it was more like the prequel movies. If you ever really compare, the Return of the Jedi is a lot more like a prequel movie, in terms of what it does. The first 2 were deep and spiritual, and really, really funky. And the third one was just kind of like, here, let's sell some lunch boxes and wrap up the story and have good action. And it was good. I mean, don't get me wrong, Return of the Jedi was the first one I saw, but no, Lucas was absolutely ripping off the Hidden Fortress, and he was, he had Joseph Campbell inspiring parts of this stuff. He was definitely consulted. There was other people. So all this stuff, very meaningful, very important. But that's also my point, is that the ancient spirituality, which exists today in mythological form. So myth was how they recorded, especially since most people didn't read and write. So they would, in order to transfer information, they would often use song and story. So if you want to teach somebody life lessons, instead of handing somebody a dry, dusty tome of philosophy and rhetoric, you just tell them a story about what you want them to learn, and you create characters that will teach them the lessons that you want them to have. And so mythology is a way of doing that. And they carry with it spiritual importance. Now, I get into trouble with theistic people a lot, because there's a lot of theistic people that follow me. And they really do believe and worship, and they really do believe that the world was created by these beings, and blah, 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 blah. And I lock horns with them every now and then, because I'm not that guy. I don't see it that way. But I think what does exist is stranger than the fiction that people follow, right? When people are Christians, for example, and I've been finding myself being more and more forgiving, not of the Christian church, fuck the church, but people who are Christian, though, like, perfectly valid, practice. I wouldn't do it, but it's perfectly valid. And I look at them and I go, the irony is, so much of what they believe is true, but only through a certain lens, only through a certain way of thinking, a certain philosophy, a certain metaphysic, it starts to be true. So all of this mythology has value. And if you are wise in your practice, you will identify the current. This is why we call them currents. You'll identify the current of magic that you feel the most resonance with. Sometimes that's multiple currents and you're an eclectic like I am. Sometimes you're only into one thing. You'll be a Kemet, or you'll be into heathenry or pagan gods, or maybe you're into chaos magic and you don't want to deal with any gods. So you go into that branch of chaos magic that treats it more like a science, and so it's all about sigils and meditating and all kinds of other shit. But there's always a way. There's always something. Some people like Johann, he's very much into the medieval kind of magic. He loves the medieval stuff, and so do I. Like the medieval stuff to a great degree as well. Some people like the stuff from the 20s and the late 1800s, the Victorian era magic. That shit's cool as fuck, right? Love that shit. It's a great vibe. So you should feel comfortable, even if it's working with the fiction, because if you're smart and you do your research, you'll find that most fictions are based on something that's mythological or archetypal. Some are a little harder than others, obviously. Some are very new ideas, but the archetypes are still the same. Like Star Wars, okay? Star Wars, coming back to Star Wars, and it was said that Star Wars is the root of a future religion. It really could be. Everything that's in there is because it recycles metaphysical truths from other cultures. It kind of waters them and dumbs them down, but it takes some very valid truths, simplifies them into a digestible format, regurgitates them into a cool fantasy. That fantasy will propagate it for generations, like Lovecraft stuff does. And you already have people practicing Jediism, right? Like they already do. And they do it rationally. And I don't have a problem with it. I think it's fine.
I've actually, with that little, fucking Universal Church of Life thing, I've officially, as a minister, declared a couple people Jedi. And I actually, quick tangent, that is one of the things where if you go to the Universal Church of Life, they recognize all faiths, all religions, yes, even Jedi, they say. They will sell marriage certificates or, certificates of whatever for all these different things. And people were hounding them over, yeah, but can we have a Jedi certificate? I want something official. And they finally caved and made one available for the low price of $19.99 or something like that.
Yep.
They wouldn't put their logo on it. They didn't want that association.
That's funny as hell. We should look into that, dude. I think you're registered as well as a minister or something like that, right? I think you have the papers too. I can marry you guys.
I pull out my card. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I forget where I put mine. I put mine somewhere.
We could marry all of you.
We could marry. You guys want to get married right now?
I'll be your guardian bestie.
Yeah, there we go.
Fucking incubus something.
Come on, everybody, listen. Jesu Domine, go fuck yourself in the air. Okay. Anyway,
I threw you off on a tangent. You were talking about Star Wars and the new religion.
So if you are hell bent on turning any fiction you want into a practical magical system, you can. This is why I did that video maybe 2 months ago of the charm of making. It's the chant of the charm of making, a totally fictional charm, a totally fictional incantation from the movie Excalibur that was put into the book The 21 Lessons of Merlin. Totally fraudulent book that gets history wrong, gets a lot of things wrong, but there's people who practice out of that book and get results. Of course they do, because it's not about the idea that you are trying to reach out. And I got to be careful in my wording here, because you can reach out to an ancient dead god. I say dead god for a reason. We'll get into that in a minute. But the idea that the only way this works is to somehow reach out to an ancient dead god is wrong. Ultimately, you have all of that same capability within you, and you can use the archetype of whatever spirit you want as a lens or a gateway for your will to manifest. Okay? Now, the dead god thing, when I say a dead god, is because for the most part, some have been resurrected somewhat, but for the most part, all of the gods of antiquity are dead. They are memories. They're not actively, properly worshipped and regarded as they once were. That doesn't mean that there's nobody doing it. It's just they might as well be dead. The number of people worshiping these gods the way they should have been and would have been is near zero. Right? There's a lot of dead gods. There's a lot of living gods though too. There really are.
Kind of like those Christmas toys that haven't been played with in so long that you can't just throw a new battery in. You kind of gotta fuck with the electronics to get them moving again.
Yeah. They're definitely and the egregore is still there. You can still contact it, but I call them a dead gods because their practice, their religion, their following, their anchor in this world is kind of dead. It's kind of dead. So, by contrast, there's still a lot of living gods that you can, like the Hindu pantheon, alive and well. Those gods are still alive and well. The Christian god, alive and well in its own way. But Saturn, I know there's a lot of pagans out there, but it's not the same. It doesn't have the same. It doesn't hit the same. They don't have big temples anymore. They're not getting, bloods, animal sacrifices and shit. It's not the same. It's just not.
Hey, I'll be right back.
Don't you dare.
I love this stream, but I also got a big hankering for eggnog all of a sudden. And Daniel's son,
I can't have eggnog
I would
anymore.
be Anakin.
You suck.
I'll drink enough eggnog for the both of us.
I'll be right back. You guys suck. Can you believe he's doing that to me? He's going out there to get some eggnog, and I got to sit here and entertain you guys. So, geez, I feel like I'm talking to myself now. It's weird. I used to do all these streams just talking to you guys, and it feels weird to not have a wingman all of a sudden. What am I going to say? Angry Finger saying he wants to take a crack at being James Earl Jones for a minute. That's a good idea. Let's see. Let's scroll up. Let's get some good commentary going. You guys should check out tomorrow night. One of my favorite. I don't get to watch him as much as I'd like, but Sleazy P Martini, the so-called manager of Guar, has a great Friday live stream. Very entertaining, very funny. Kind of brings me back to the 80s or 90s. It's definitely a cool show. Ooh, David Morgan may have just saved my soul. There's some pretty decent keto eggnog recipes. I don't want a recipe. I want that cardboard box that you get from the supermarket that, like, when nobody's looking, you just drink out of, and it gets like really funky and it's really delicious. Like, that's what I want. I don't want to have to like beat some eggs around and do all that. No, I want the crappy stuff. Yeah. Loiter Cult says, "We are your wingman, bro. Yeah. It's about intention, magic. Yeah, Shane Stephenson says it's about intention. Magic dwells within us all, and I think Flesh Priest would say magic dwells within the ass. In fact, that's
actually Crowley, not me. I don't know where I stand on that yet.
It could be in the balls. I mean, you know.
I don't know. Maybe Crowley was exploring a little bit deeper in the cave than I have yet.
Yeah, maybe definitely was apparently, or he was getting his cave explored. I guess is what it was really happening.
Fuck me for magic. Fuck me for magic. It's hot in the desert.
There's not a lot of things that dude didn't do.
At the end of his life, shower was one of them.
Apparently, that was one of them. Yeah.
So I'm coming in here. I don't know if you finished up your thought.
Well, I don't know where you're coming in, but could you please not do it on camera? I was finishing my thought. I was just having some audience participation.
I'm gonna do it just off camera. So with audience participation, though, somebody actually said something. I totally forgot to get your name, but they brought up something about how the Jedi... Oh, here we go. Jasonius. Good guy. If you look at the Jedis, they seem to be like the right-hand path and submissive, and the Sith are like the left-hand path and all about self-empowerment. I will go one step further, too, in saying that the left-hand path tends to be very solitary, and if you are familiar with the extended universe at all, it's the rule of two. There can only ever be two Sith at a time. Yeah. There is the teacher and the student. And eventually you must kill the teacher. My
problem with Jediism, or its offshoots, is the duality nature of it. I'm not a dualist. I don't believe that there's a light side and a dark side, and that there's a separateness to them, and that you have to, and then someone say, well, be like Kyle Katarn and be like a Grey Jedi and merge the two, and but that's great and cute. But I think that universe is flawed, and I think that's why they have all this endless conflict, is because they have that necessary dualism between the two, and that there's an opposition there that, like, somehow it's just foolish to me. It's totally foolish. Like, I love the original series, the original movies, better because it wasn't implied that you had to be avoidant of the dark side. In other words, the dark side wasn't something that you necessarily tried to deny. The dark side rather was a thing that existed and was part of a challenge. And the dark side, I would certainly not personally say that the Sith are the left hand and the Jedi are the right hand. I would not say that at all, because I have perhaps a different understanding of left and right hand. And maybe I'll pontificate about that for a minute, because it is an annoyance to me. There is this idea that left-hand path is evil, right-hand path is good, left-hand path is black, right-hand is white, this and that. That to me is bullshit. I think that's complete bullshit, and I don't even think you have to even look far to figure out why.
Yeah, certainly with the good evil angle, as soon as somebody says that, it's just oh, fuck you.
Yeah.
You're dumb.
It's not even light and dark. It's not even edgy and not edgy. It's none of that. The only definitions that I tolerate for the left and right hand path. Now there's different ways, because if you go back, left hand, the sinister means left hand, versus the right hand, it meant also other things. because you can say left hand is receptive, right hand is emissive. You can say left hand is hidden and right hand is this. Left hand is unclean, right hand is clean, because left hand, that's what you wipe your ass with in a lot of cultures, right? That's why if you meet someone who's Arabic, you don't shake left hands. You just don't do it. They think of that as an insult. So let's put that part away, because that's not a good enough definition for me. It's too nebulous and there's too much overlap. It's dumb. Let's get a little smarter. To me, the only accurate and correct definitions of left and right hand path, and this is where, before I even say that, I guarantee you, if I make a post about this, I will get 75 people saying, I'm both. I'm both. I'm gray. I'm light and dark. I'm both. I'm both. Everybody's fucking both. Who the fuck wants to admit to being one or the other? Everybody. I'm both. So let's really define what it is. And anybody who says I'm both, you're automatically on the left-hand side for me. Automatically. I'll tell you why in a minute. Right-hand path in my dictionary, and I really recommend you adopt this definition. Right-hand path is a path of collectivist submission to a higher authority or power. It is this idea that you are not an individual, you are not merely part of a whole, but you are submissive to a whole. In other words, whether you're a non-dualist or a dualist, on the right-hand path, your position is one of diminutiveness. It is one of submission. It is one of being a slave, servant, or under a higher power or authority. So in other words, someone who says, I'm a Satanist and I worship Satan, is not then automatically on the left hand. Someone who says, I worship Satan, he's my father, I do as he bids and commands, I pray to him and I ask him for favor, they are a theistic right-hand path Satanist. They're not left-hand path. The left-hand path is a path of individuality, but that does not mean that you deny the greater collective of the truth. You can be a non-dualistic left-hand path person. The left-hand path identifies the individuation of our personal experience and seeks to glorify that either as a separate, if you're a dualist, or as an aspect of the whole, and you don't deny the self. It is not in your nature. You exist here as an individualized being because that is your nature. To deny one's nature is unnatural. That is not the way in Zen or any of these systems. This is the paradox of non-duality, is to recognize you are the whole and also an individual. So the left-hand path is one of individualism. It is one of non-submission. It is one of, to thine own self be true. It is taking the first commandment of the Bible, where it says, I am the Lord thy God, thou shalt have no God before me, and completely fucking that thing over and saying, I am the Lord my God, and there shall be no God before me. That is the left-hand path. Everything else is an extrapolation of the difference between those two rules. If you're on the left-hand path, then morality is a choice. It is not an arbitrary thing that is foisted upon you. It turns into ethics if you're on the left-hand path. They're personal choices you make based on logic, reason, or emotion. What feels right, what seems right, what is logical. If you're on the right-hand path, morality is foisted upon you by a higher power or a church or a collective, and you must follow that, or else. On the left-hand path, the reason why it's associated with evil so much is because on the left-hand path, since there is no higher power dictating what right and wrong is, the idea of taboo is also the only taboo that is in the left-hand path. In other words, if you're on the left-hand path, the only real taboo, like that is a taboo, is to have a taboo. That doesn't mean you can't have an ethical choice, like I won't kill children, right? I won't be doing these horrible things that are going to get my channel revoked and get me in trouble. And because ethically, I realize that causes more problems for me. I'm self-serving in that way. I recognize that. I accept that and I embrace that and I act on that. So therefore, I'm not going to do these things that other people would say, oh, this is evil and horrible and bad. Oh, no. But instead of having an emotional response to it, based upon fear of stuff like a religion inserts into you, my difference is I have an ethical reason why I don't want to. I have a logical, rational, cold reason why I don't. And the emotional reason is not the reason. The emotional side is more of just a reaction to it, and it is not the reason. So the left-hand path without taboos means it is willing to do the black magic without hesitation. There's nothing there that says, the 3 times rule is going to come back to you. You're going to go to hell. You're going to this. Oh, karma's going to kick you in the balls. Nope. I don't buy that. That's not where I live. So I don't sit there going, oh, it's really just wrong of me to curse somebody. Ask any of my clients, especially my mentors, if I try to talk you out of cursing, it is not because cursing is unethical to me or bad or wrong. It is because most of the time the reason you want to curse somebody is because you're trapped. You're trapped into the situation and you are at the mercy of your emotions and your hatred and your anger and your problems. So therefore, you are weak at that point. Now, some people hearing all this and hearing me lean to the left will say, oh, I guess that means Thorne says one side's better or the other. No, because I also will tell you both the left and right hand grasp the truth and both will lead to the truth eventually. If you practice the right-hand path diligently enough, just like the saying, a fool who persists in his folly will soon become wise, in the same sense, if you practice the right-hand path long enough, eventually you get fed up spiritually and you leave it forever. It may take you 100 million lifetimes, but it can happen. After being abused by the various deities that lord over you, you'll say, you know what, each one of these is wrong, and you become the adversary, you become the Satan. That is part of your paradigm. That is what will happen. And some people, I think I saw somebody say something along the lines of, I don't know if they were saying it or not, that it is possible to submit intentionally and have it be closer to a left-hand thing. In other words, if I, for example, decide to serve my wife dinner, am I on the right-hand path now because I'm serving her and say, what would you like, sweetie? Your wish is my command. No, because I have chosen in that moment, out of love and devotion and a decision to be pleasant and sweet, to be an individual who serves this person. So when I say left-hand path means no submission, what I don't mean is that you can't be loyal. Like some people make that mistake. They go, Thorne, lately you've been talking a lot about politics and apparently you're a patriot. How can a left-hand path person be a patriot? Well, by choice, I'm patriotic to an ideal that I believe is ethical and serves me best. But I am not loyal in the sense that I would sacrifice everything that I believe and am and matters to me for a hollow victory of just looking patriotic or something. That's submissive. So people who are, say, Christian, and they are Christian because they are afraid of the punishment. They're Christian because they think it's the right thing to do because it's all they've been taught. They're submissive to God because they're afraid of the alternative, because they haven't tested the opportunity of the opposite. Those right-hand path people are, to my mind, less spiritually evolved. I don't mean that in a derogatory way. I just mean that they haven't seen the top of the mountain yet. Because most of us have been there. Most of us have walked through life on some form. I guarantee most of you, if I were to really, interview you all and talk to you about what your practices are, what you think and what you do, the vast majority of you probably land closer to the right-hand path than you realize. And yet some of you are actually left-hand path, but are practicing a right-hand path philosophy intentionally. So for example, when I say that I work with various spirits and I give them respect and I pay them homage and I give them offerings and stuff, that sounds very right-hand path. It's worshipful, right? I'm doing things that have a worshipful quality to them. I praise them, I give them things, I do this. But I don't beg them and I don't plead them. And if I do, I feel disgusting and the ritual fails. And I'll tell you, I have had that feeling. I've done that, especially when I feel weak, especially when I'm not getting what I want, when I really care too much about the outcome. Instead of going to a deity or demon, I'm placing my request, my petition, from a perspective either equality or superiority. And that superiority doesn't mean that I am above them in the sense that they must do my bidding, but I recognize them as an extension of myself. And that extension serves me and I serve it. So kind of like my hand, right? My hand, I command my hand to reach out and take this drink of water. But you know what? My hand commanded me to drink that water, because if I don't, it's going to shrivel up and dry up and die. So there's a mutual service going on. There's a mutual arising of command. King Paimon requires that I work with him to solve the issue that he and I both put me in, and only he can help me get myself out of, and I've got to do the work to get. It's a reciprocal process, and it goes around and around and around like a dynamo. It spins. If I treat it like King Paimon's going to solve my problem, it will fuck me in the ass every time. In other words, if I go to King Paimon, please, King Paimon, my numbers are down, my books aren't selling, please help make me popular, please, I'll give you anything. Maybe or maybe not, he'll respond. But the outcome is always going to be pathetically weak, and I'm not going to feel empowered by it. Whereas if I go to King Paimon, I go, treat him like a fellow king. King Paimon, I come before you as a fellow king. I bring with me offerings. I ask that you complete this task for me, and you will be rewarded if you do. Much better way of approaching any king.
That, to loop back to what you were saying about, a lot of people would say, I'm both left hand and right hand. And I'll get to the point that I was gonna make, but I think what people mean when they say that is the kind of chaos magic, traditional chaos magic lens of getting yourself to very staunchly believe one thing for a while and then dropping it and moving on to a new thing. So for 1 week, you may completely be subservient to the Greek pantheon or whatever. Oh, great Apollo, please help me. Where in that context, you might be practicing a right-hand path thing, and then you flip out of it and go to something else, which I would classify as left-hand. It's still a left-hand path framework, but fuck, what were you just talking about? Oh my god, I was
I don't know, I lost myself
too.
I started reading the comments and listening to you, and my brain started wandering, and
oh,
yeah.
God damn it, now I feel like an asshole. I just
No, what I think I get what your point is. Some people, they do it intentionally. Like I often say, you need to be able to you need to be able to shift gears and change dogma at will effectively. If you're working with Christian magic, you damn well better be Christian while you're doing it, right?
Yeah. Oh, that was the thing. It was actually one of the first things you were talking to me about. It's a definite difference of if you were to invite me into your home, if under a right-hand path context, I would be, subservient to you. I would be your slave within this household and everything. Whereas in, that's only God can fix my problems and all that. Left-hand path is more like I'm in your house and I recognize that I'm a guest. I brought something for you, but we're standing here as equals, but I'm in your space.
Yeah.
So I respect
this
that.
is why I believe there's a lot of connection, and this is one of the reasons I guess I'm slightly famous, is that I combine the Eastern traditions of non-duality with the left-hand path, and I see that they fit very well, because all is within that Eastern metaphysics of non-duality. But the left-hand path is very friendly towards it, because a lot of the left-hand path lessons teach you this lesson. And David Morgan said something very, very poignant here, very important. He says, food for thought, no act is truly selfish. Nothing enacted, even in service of seemingly other or in total submission, while willful is selfless. Where there is a choice, there is self. And I can take that one further in that, or basically what he's trying to say, because he's limited by how many characters he can use. If you are acting intentionally, you are serving yourself. You cannot, for example, worship God without a selfish reason. Nobody goes to a church and goes to pray and worship God simply because they are being selfless. There's always a selfish reason for it. Now that could be as something as gross as they're hoping to go to heaven or get a brand new Mercedes by worshiping God enough. Or it could be something as polite or innocent as they truly love God and want to be recognized by God as loving them. Like a little child, right? If a little child just wants you to know that they love you, right? They're not even asking for a cookie in the moment. Like you don't go, ha, you little selfish fuck, how dare you pretend to love me? All you really want to do is to show it. No, of course not. That's not baneful. It's not bad. But for the most part, if you really pick apart the practices of the average right-hand path person, it goes back to being synonymous with why I make fun of people who brag about humility or talk shit about ego. Whenever somebody says to me, Thorne, you're so egotistical. Oh, you have way too much ego, Thorne. You have way too much ego. All I want to do is recite that line in the Bible about don't point out the speck in someone else's eye until you remove the rod from your own. If you have the audacity to say that I have ego, the only part of you that finds my ego offensive is your own ego because it wants to take the spotlight away from mine. Don't you dare come to me. I had a friend that I'll never do work with again. He's a backstabbing prick who's got his own channel. Used to be seen with me a lot. I won't name names, but those of you who watch my stuff going back far enough, used to get very, very offended that I was getting popular and started to act like I was taking the spotlight away from him. And he would push this whole Thorne, you're really arrogant and egotistical thing with me. And I would encourage him to be the same way. That was the difference. I would encourage him, why don't you be more, confident and proud of what you're doing and not worry about the spotlight. Shine your own light, motherfucker. That's what I'm doing. If you think that I'm stealing your spotlight, it's actually I'm shining my own just brighter than you. That's not my fault. That's not something I'm doing wrong. And this was somebody else's ego that was having the problem. So when people say, Thorne, you have too much ego. Now, you could say that maybe in a metaphysical way. You're too attached to your ego in the moment, and that's why you're suffering. That's a different argument completely. Like if someone says, Thorne, the reason you're upset lately is because, it's not because of the elections, it's because of your ego, right? The elections are pissing you off only because of your ego. You're worried because you think that this matters. That is a valid thing to say. That's a helpful thing to say. But when someone says, oh, you're not humble enough, that's their lack of humility talking. And it's gross. Like when someone, people who try to act humble on purpose are not being humble because the source of that desire to be humble is an arrogant pride in trying to be humble. It's saying, oh, I had better be humble so I can be the most humble I can be. That is exquisitely prideful. That is the antithesis of humility. True humility is ignorant of it's ignorant of itself. And I actually respect a lot more someone who's willfully arrogant, like I am, because that arrogance is actually a form of humility. If you embrace your humility fully, you're not embarrassed of your flaws, right? If you go, fuck, I love myself, and someone says like, you smell like shit. Damn right I smell like shit. I worked all day.
That's my shit.
That's my stank, right? It's a much more honest and noble and virtuous way to be. And you can still be benevolently arrogant, by the way. Just because you're arrogant doesn't mean you have to be malevolent. You can be like, I'm a benevolent. Now a lot of people say, Thorne, you don't strike me as arrogant. That's probably because I'm so benevolent to you. But there's people I'm not. Like people say, oh, even the way you said to you, you have a way of speaking that's so smug and so, yeah, I do, totally. But I want you to have that too. But I want you to be benevolent about it. I want you to use your gifts, if it serves you, to be benevolent, and it will serve you. I've lived a long time. I'm 44 years old, and you can only get so far living in a way that is only for yourself without also being for others. Notice, I'm very selfish. I'm selfish to the point where I recognize that the thing that is best for me is when other people are happy around me. I do it for a very selfish reason. I want to feel good because you're happy. It's not because I give a fuck about you so much. It's that it makes my life so much better when you're happy. So it turns into a selfless, compassionate practice, but I don't run from the idea that I'm doing it just for me. In other words, since I'm comfortable with it being a selfish act, I'm more inclined to actually carry it out and then not be butthurt when I fail, thus causing my own suffering. So you were starting to say something, Fleshy. I'm gonna shut up.
Oh, it's just a thing about the false humility people. I wanted to chime in with I 100% agree. I will take, somebody who is proud of their ego any day over the person who fucking comes up to you and brags about giving $1 to a homeless man.
Oh, fuck that
I am
dude.
so
Yeah.
humble. No, you're fucking not, because if you were really humble, I would never know. You
And I
that
will
dude
brag
were the
about
only
giving to
ones.
charity. And I'll tell you why. Because if I brag about giving to charity, hopefully it will encourage somebody else to do the same.
Yeah.
Right? That's my motivation for bragging, and it is my motivation because I want to feel good about being one of those people. I'm not going to hide it. And if I do, I do. You'll never know. Right? I will do both, to be honest with you. I've given to charity and don't say a word, and then I give to charity and I'm like, guys, I gave $20 to this. You should too. Right? Be like me. Look how awesome I feel. Ping, ping, ping. So, but this is why I don't virtue signal. Anybody who follows me knows I don't virtue signal. I will make moral arguments. I will try to make statements and educate and do these things, but I don't virtue signal. I don't have to. Right? I don't feel that I should ever have to. I feel that whatever qualities I have that is positive show like a brilliant light, and I don't need to brag about them. I want you. I mean, probably the most perhaps Luciferian thing about me is I want you to feel the pride that I feel, because I don't always feel pride. I've felt extremely negative about myself. I've been extremely self-conscious, come and go. And I'll tell you something. People who are self-conscious, people who really feel insecure and are really like afraid of being, like they seem shy and all that, that is not because they have a low self-esteem. It's actually because they think so much of themselves that they can't take any form of cognitive dissonance when people don't treat them the way they think they deserve. And that's a shadow that I've had to deal with most of my life. I've had to recognize that part of my problem is not that I think so little of myself. It's that I think so highly of myself that when it is confronted, when I make a mistake or something, it hurts me more than someone who doesn't think so much of themselves. So it's been a process through my whole life to temper that and learn how to not be a complete dick, in the process. And sometimes I think I failed, and sometimes I think I succeed. But I have become more introverted over the years because I've found that interacting with people is very uncomfortable. I have a handful of people I like to interact with. Flesh Priest, for example, EA, for example, my wife. People like that I could talk to every day, and I would love to have them in my life all the time and hang out all the time. But the general public, and even these people that I like, I need my fuck you time, because I'm also, as an empath, I see through body language, I see through words. I can sense when you're lying to me. I can sense when you're blowing smoke up my ass. Maybe you're not in the mood to talk to me today and you're just being nice to me. I feel that. Like I feel it like really well. Sometimes I notice when someone doesn't like me and they're just acting like they do. Or maybe they do like me, but they're in a bitchy mood and they don't realize it, and they're talking a certain way. I pick up on that, like I'm extra sensitive to it. So it's painful. Being the kind of empath I am, I'm not the kind of empath where I feel your pain, but your experiences, it's almost like I'm telepathic and I can read your mind. Imagine going into a party and knowing within 0 to 10 seconds what each person that you interact with really thinks about you on a deep level. With a few exceptions, I'm like 95 to 99% accurate. There are some people I can't read, and those people fuck me up the most. If you ever see me around one of those people, I'm goofy. I'm nervous. You can tell when I'm around somebody I can't read because I get nervous, because I don't know what to say or do. But you'll also notice, if you hang out with me enough, different people bring out different people in me because I am empathic. I practice a kind of subconscious NLP. I try to fit in with the person I'm talking to. So I will take on their mannerisms. I will suddenly sound interested in everything they're into. It's one of the reasons why I know so much, is because I'm constantly like a chameleon trying to fit in. I guess that's like a psychopath tendency. I try to fit in with everybody that I come across. I try to be the wolf in sheep's clothing. I try to fit, because I don't feel like I fit. I feel alien everywhere I go. So I try to find a way to fit in every crowd that I come. Now, but at the same time maintain a lot of individuality. I don't change how I dress, right? I don't go I don't change how I dress. This is some of my street clothes right here. It's like a vest it's like a tactical vest. This is how I dress walking down the street. You guys have never seen me in clothes that I wouldn't wear in public, okay? That's the funny thing. So, I do stand out, and I do get treated differently. But when it comes to a one-on-one interaction, I really do try to fit. And it's very uncomfortable. It's really uncomfortable for me when I can't read you like a book. And there's not a lot of people. I'm going to say in my current life, there's maybe one that it took me years to learn to read. Usually within 10 seconds, I read somebody well. And as I get to know you, I said this to EA when I started getting to know him. I said, you'll notice when I'm getting to know you, I talk more than you will. Because I'm actually, when I'm talking, I'm reading you. I'm gauging your responses. Every time I say something, I'm reading your reaction to it. Every little twitch of every little subtle muscle in your face, every little inflection of your words, every glance of your eye means something to me, and my subconscious and my spiritual picks up on it, and I know you. So I'll tell you the most off-the-wall, goofy shit. I'll run the conversation because I'm kind of like downloading you. I'm figuring you out. Once I get to know you, I shut up and I become quiet. Now, Flesh Priest can probably say he knows this, because there's times I'm very talkative and I over-talk him and I'm annoying. And then there's times where it's just like my wife and him are talking, I'm just quiet as can be. I'm not interested in saying anything. I'm just listening, right?
Yeah, those nights, like, did something break? What happened?
What happened to Thorne? Where did he go? So you also have to know, like, if I'm engaged, I get talkative too. Like, if I'm engaged, if I feel like it's something I know something about, I can't shut up. I'm a know-it-all. But yeah.
No, you love what there's nothing better to me than when somebody can't stop talking about something they're passionate about. That's always cool. Mm-hmm. It's like the only time. So I say that the only time that's proven not true is the time that I worked with a guy who was trying to convince me about how Hitler didn't actually want to kill the Jews and was very passionate about it. And that was extremely uncomfortable.
Hey, being who I am, I'm open to anything. Like I like that's the thing. I used to beat the living daylights out of skinheads, but I'd listen to them too. Like that was the fucking, not because I'd go, oh, they're right. I'd listen to them, because I'm fascinated by alien perspectives. They fascinate me, and listening to this, and I won't get into the whole thing because it gets controversial quick, but. Look, the world that you live in is a construct created by people who want to control you. Every single bit of it. Some of that control is benign. It is just because that is a system that works, and there's nothing, it's not like control that's meant to subvert or remove your ability to be an individual. But some of it is nefarious and malevolent. In fact, a lot of it is. And part of the reason why we've had such a shift in our culture is because for a very long time, our traditional values were based on control, not on liberation. They're based on control. And those controlling traditions had to change. And they did change. Unfortunately, they got changed by subversives. And those subversives weren't subverting it in a way to set you free. They were subverting it so they could insert a new form of control. And I won't get into that on this stream because that's a heavily political stream, but it gets into a lot of what you see in the world right now. Actually, David, I am, I'm in Aries in my sun and my moon is Cancer. So, and I do believe in sidereal I am Piscean. Yeah, I do believe I don't know, maybe I'm Cancer. I don't remember. Look me up. I'll tell you my birthday. I don't know, it's March 28th. So you guys can look that up. Don't anybody celebrate it. Don't send me shit on Facebook. But if you want to find out, David Morgan, what is my sign sidereal if it's March 28th? I forget what it is because I don't do sidereal. But some people say that. And So I don't know. I definitely have a blend of I've done my birth. I've shown my birth chart before on the show, and it's just trine after trine after trine after trine after trine. It's a lot. It's a lot of trines. It's it's a lot of trines, and I have a lot of mixtures of things going on. I like my chart. Like when I look at my chart, I go, "That's kind of badass." I'm pretty happy with that one.
With the fucking birth charts and stars and everything, I hate it. And every time somebody brings it up, my eyes roll into the back of my head. Just, oh my fucking God. But I think I would like to like it more. And I'm trying to get past that dogma. I think the fucking people who like, what you gonna do? I'm a Sagittarius. That's just the way I am.
But that's not how it works. That's like the dumb down version of it. To think
know, but I grew up around so many of those people of, oh, you're just saying that because you're a Gemini. I want to hit you with a chair because I'm
Well, you do have some Gemini traits, dude. You do definitely do. Like you have some deceptive qualities about you that you don't realize that I pick up on. You know, like I'm.
Oh, you don't realize that I realize that you're realizing.
You must have a Scorpio somewhere in there that's making you do that, because the Scorpio would think that way. Yeah. Oop, my wife is telling me. Yeah, she said I'm a Pisces. My wife told me my sidereal is Pisces. Yeah. Yeah. So, I like being an Aries, but of course that's a very Aries way to be, right? Aries and Scorpio are the most proud of their signs. We'll put it that way.
You know what? I actually am very curious all of a sudden. I'm going to get my fucking natal chart put together, and for the people who know more about astrology than I do, fucking... Yeah.
I actually have a great website for that.
Yeah, fucking pump it through and I'll do it in the background. Also, we got a caller lined up. It is Jasonius, and
we can take him in a minute, sure.
Yeah, he doesn't actually have anything he wants to bring up. He just
fuck him then. No, he doesn't have to come on in, son of a bitch.
Nah, go with the flow, yo. I actually do have a couple topics to bring up that he might be able to weigh in on.
So the website is called astrocharts.com, astro-charts.com. And you gotta know the time of your birth too, not just the day, because the time matters. So
yeah, I'm with that.
You get that all in there. It should be on your birth certificate if you can find it. And you'll get a very detailed reading. Let me see. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I got 10 trines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 square. And not too many oppositions, and a couple sextiles, but it's mostly trines are the most important aspect of geometry in my chart. So I like my chart; it's a cool chart. But that kind of sucks, because when you have that many trines, you get like all these talents, but then it can get you kind of like lazy because you don't have a lot of you don't learn a lot of lessons. We'll put it that way. Eric is lurking tonight. He says, Eric, I'm just lurking tonight, but wanted to say hi. Say hi to Flesh Priest. Oh
yeah, buddy.
He said, hi, Flesh Priest. Oh yeah, and his sidekick, DH2. You know what? You know what, motherfucker. You're lucky I love you. You're lucky I love you. The curse is in the mail, but I love you. It's a soft one. You're just going to get some pimples on your ass or something, probably. We'll see.
Oh, you don't need a curse for that. Yeah, it just happens with age.
Ooh. No, it doesn't. I get less of everything now. Yeah, someone asked before, Thorne, you're 44? Yeah, I'm 44 in 3 months. I'm going to be 44 in 3 months. Smoke on that, fucker. 44. I'm older than some of you guys look. So, okay, so I think Jasonia... Oh, we love you too, Eric. Friggin' bitch kicker over there. Hopefully this world settles its shit pretty soon and we can come visit. Like, that would be fun. I think you got scorpions where you are. Like, I'm actually gonna start training myself to like dump my shoes out in the morning and make sure I don't step on a scorpion. So okay, I guess hey, JB's here. Look at that. Is JB here? Looks like JB. I don't know if that's JB. Can't tell. So you said you got Jasonius lined up.
I was muted this whole time. I do have Jasonius lined up. Also, EA, since my mic was muted, We love you too, brother. And I saw you make a guest appearance on one of JS's most recent videos. I didn't realize you had that tattoo on the center of your chest right there.
I didn't notice anything. See, that's bad of me. Like, I'm very self-centered, so I don't notice, like, people change their hair colors and shit. I'm just like, what? You have a head?
Yeah, it was funny. His beard looked a lot more like J.S. Garrett's too, but the hair was the same. It was still EA's hair.
Oh, that's weird.
I do have Jasonius lined up, and I am going to summon him momentarily.
Momentarily, we will summon Jasonius with that beautiful English brogue that sounds like he's in. What he said, he's in the UK. He's not in Scotland, but he's in that direction. I think is what it said, right?
I think so. Yeah. Hey, what's up, Jasonius?
And he's wearing his. You guys can't see it, but he's currently wearing his cat burglar hat. So he's looking like he's getting ready to break in through somebody's window to play reverse Santa Claus. What's up, brother?
I know what you. I feel better now. I've got 2 weeks off work. That time's going to be filled with rituals, spending time with family, and cyberpunk.
Yeah, I've heard that's really bad buggy. I was going to buy it, but then I'm like, I might wait a few months to see if they fix any of the bugs. Would you agree? Is it worth waiting?
Yeah, it is glitched actually. Especially when you see cars on the road that are halfway in the road and half out. You know, you think, how did they manage to drive? Stuff like that. It's just some weird glitches right you get in games.
Yeah, I don't mind glitches too. Like, I've been a Bethesda player for years, right? If you play Bethesda, you're used to glitches, but
yeah.
It looked like this took the cake, though, so I'm going to wait a little bit on that one. I want to play it badly, though. I really do.
It is good. The idea is good, and it's kind of gives you a feel of what could happen, you know, with all these mods that they're putting on, you know, like cybernetics and things like that.
Well, you ain't going to get none of that, brother. They're going to make sure that most of us are sterilized and dead before they start letting us have any of that shit, dude. You'll see.
Especially with some of the shit we already know.
Yeah, with all the shit we know is actually going on right now. Like, anybody who, like, sort of wondered and believed before, if you don't believe now, you're dumb. Like,
yeah, exactly.
It's, like, so obvious. Like, it's like, yeah, we're coming to take all your shit. We're coming to do exactly what, you know, it's coming. It's coming. So, roll over or fight. Now's the time.
Well, that's it. Choose your sides, isn't it?
I chose
Freedom
mine.
or comfort.
Yeah, I chose mine. And you know what's good about that?
I chose freedom.
What you know what's good about that? Christianity taught me that at the last minute, I can repent and get comfort. So if so if it looks like we're going to lose and freedom's going to go away, then I'm going to be like, fuck it, microchip my ass and give me all the fucking. I won't work a day again in my life. Just give me my free benefits, and then sure, sterilize me. I'm 44. I'm not going to have another kid anyway.
Yeah.
I just like the free sterilization anyways.
Right, yeah, fuck it. Like, literally, I'll fuck it more. That'd be great.
Otherwise, you probably have to pay for it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, don't you guys who are hoping for that UBI think there won't be strings attached that have something to do with your procreative abilities. Don't think that won't be attached. So,
yeah, I haven't really got much topic to talk about. I just thought I'd come and chew the fat with you, and I think Flesh Priest wanted to get something going, like on clairvoyance or something like that.
Okay. So, yeah, I think I saw you said something about clairvoyancy. Yeah, bring it up. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Speak your mind, brother.
Hold on, let me pull that up. I'm all fucking ankle deep in my natal chart right here. So Evan Waring asked, DH, what do you think of clairvoyance?
Okay.
It's strange. Sometimes I wonder a question and then you answer it.
Ooh, I'm going to let you guys cover it first because you know I'm prone to ranting. So you guys tell me what you guys think.
Yeah, I'm
including
actually
you,
curious.
Fleshy.
Have you ever had any clairvoyant moments, Jasonius?
Not so much. Well, I won't call it clairvoyance. I get certain images that come into my mind, and when they niggle more than twice or three times, I tend to see that as, well, is this trying to tell me something? It was like during martial arts days, I knew I wasn't going to be in martial arts from 6 months to a year, and it just kept playing on my mind. I'm like, why is this this thought coming to me. You know, why? What is happening? Is there something, an event that's going to happen in my life that is going to stop me from doing that? And lo and behold, it came true. You know, I ended up not doing martial arts for personal reasons, and then I had a night terror, which then was the message I was going to hit some dark times, which it did. For like 7 or 8 years, I was in a very dark place in my life. So I wouldn't say I'm clairvoyant, but I do get certain things, and I always dream. I dream every night. You know, some people say, "Oh, I've never dreamt," or I dream once or twice. You know, very rarely, but I dream every night, and some of those dreams. It's like last night I had a dream, and I got this symbol of it was like a pyramid with some of the top took away, and like a black moon at the top of it. And I'm like, what does that mean? Is that something that's going to be for me? Is it going to appear within my working, what I'm going to be doing? You know, what does it mean? You know, I see a lot of symbols in my dreams as well, messages, and they're not always like a film or a real time. It could somebody just be a word or an image, and you know, I don't know. I've got one of those strange minds.
The pyramid with the black moon. That sounds like it's telling you need to play Secret World Legends.
Yeah,
that
game's fucking
image
great,
is right
dude.
in there.
It's too bad we played the living shit out of that game, because that game deserves sequels and remakes, and I love that universe more than I love almost any other that we've played anything in.
So you
know,
guys,
I've been an active gamer since I was 8 years old. I'm now 45, and I've not come across that game. But I'm into most of the games like Elder Scrolls Online, which I actually put in there. If you ever came into Cyrodiil with me and you were on the wrong team and I did slay you, you would get an onslaught of a massive teabagging.
I don't do PvP for that reason, dude. I'll do PvP in games that's all about like Twitch skill. Like I'm good with those. Like I'll play shooters and I'll play like MMO PvP bothers me, like because it is like that. Like you'll be like, "Hey, I'm a badass," and the guy's like, "I'm level 52 and you're 50." Haha. Like, oh well, that's fair and fun. Whoopie doo. It just doesn't do it for I just don't get into it. But one exception to that though was EVE Online. Oh man, that game, I played that game. My fingers didn't work anymore. Like that was one of my games because I liked it because it was very, very cerebral and it wasn't. It allowed me to be like Machiavellian in all what I wanted to do. Like I took over a corporation one time because the leader was being a dick, and they decided that people weren't happy with how things were going, so using my powers of influence and manipulation, I got to the top of the corporation, took over, basically imploded it, took half the shit for myself because there was a lot of assholes in it, and I was like, they wanted to have like a communist state set up in it. They're like, everybody works and puts all of your winnings and all of your rewards in the same thing, and then we'll distribute it equally at the end of the month. I'm like, what are you, high? I'm not doing that. Like, I'm not going to get as much that way. That actually just means that the people who do less actually get something for it. Fuck you.
Yeah,
so, like,
exactly.
I took over and I switched it around, and those people who were the biggest dicks, I managed to get kicked out, and everybody else, then it just kind of disbanded because it was like, I had no intention of keeping it going. So it was fun. It was a great game because that game is very predatory.
When you're in Cyrodiil, though, it's full scale medieval battle. So you got your trebuchets and your meat bags and all that, and you're defending keeps. And I've had some epic battles on there. We got down to one keep one time, and we're being attacked by two factions on both sides, and we still managed to repel them. So it's.
So that's in the center of the. That's in the center. What is that in
the? From clairvoyance to online gaming.
That's actually like when we play a lot of. We were playing a lot of the pirate game. Oh fuck. Desmond.
Sea of Thieves.
Sea of Thieves, yeah. And there was this one night where I joined Desmond, and he was off like exploring some island, and I log into the game and we're doing something, and I'm just like all of a sudden like. I feel like we're about to be attacked, and I look up, and sure enough, in the distance is a ship coming right at us, and I'm like, "Oh, there goes my sixth sense again." And he was laughing because it was uncanny. It was perfect. So
Yeah, because
clairvoyance.
we hadn't seen anybody for a hell of a long time. Like, not a single soul. Where I'm just fucking about on an island grabbing chickens. You're just like, we're about to be attacked. Like, really serious. I'm like, nobody comes up here. You're like, okay, ship on horizon. They're incoming. Like, okay, getting back.
It was just I got that feeling. I got the feeling like a deer in a head.
Farming, and nobody knows about it, and then somebody says, "Oh, I found this place," and then everybody's there.
Yeah, like I think
Yes.
some of that in video games is because I can pick up when the game loads it, because like there's a subtle frame difference or something. I feel like maybe there's like a lag spike or something, and I go, "Oh, somebody's nearby." I can feel it. That might be what it is, or maybe I'm just that way because I am that way in real life. Like, not to brag, but that's how I am. Like in real life, I'm not jumpy at all, but I have a lot of situational awareness. I'm actually really good with where is somebody in the room. Do I have a, I don't. If I get startled, it takes a little bit. When I do get startled, I scream like a girl because it's not easy to shock me like that. Usually, I know where everything is. So it's like I'm actually scared because I don't know. Like I'm literally like
I think
you exist.
I think
go
that
ahead.
situation awareness has stemmed from your martial arts training because
for
you
sure.
become more.
Oh,
It's
for
like
sure.
when you walk the street as well. It's like a lot of people, especially when you're like close to a building, a lot of people tend to walk close to the building. Now, how I used to teach my students just about spatial awareness and outside is instead of walking close to the wall, if you walk about 2 feet away, so you're away from the wall, as you come to the edge, you've got a better line of sight, and you can actually prevent an ambush on yourself.
Well, if you're walking
like
down
that.
if you're walking down a street with a lot of doorways, one of
Yeah.
the things people will do is you get a lot of bad guys will lurk in those doorways, hoping that you're a wall hugger, so that as you walk up, they just snatch you and they fuck with you.
Yeah.
When you're shooting, when you're training in firearms, every video game has you do what? You run up to the cover, you lean up against it, and you poke around the corner and you shoot. That is the dumbest fucking thing you can ever fucking do. The proper thing to do is to be a distance away from the cover and use that as a line of sight blocker. You don't want to be pressed up against the cover. You want the cover there. Now, there's 2 reasons for it. One, because of the way the angles work, you can move a lot further. In other words, you have a lot finer control over when you're slicing the pie than when you're up close. When you're up close, a little movement translates into a lot of exposure. Whereas when you're like, say,
true.
10 feet away from the... So like, let's say there's like a corner of a building with a brick wall and somebody's going to be shooting at you. You don't go running up to the brick wall and poke your head around it. You stay a good 10, 15 feet away from that brick wall and you lean around it so that only a little smidge of you is showing. Not only that, but when the bullet hits the wall, when bullets act a lot like water. When they hit something hard, they don't bounce directly back so much as they spread out. Like they go, like it'll hit the wall and it won't go this way like a ball. It'll go and skip, and it'll follow the angle of the wall. So if you're right up against the wall, it's more likely to hit you. So this actually, and in martial arts, there's a lot of things. Street smarts comes into that a lot. Like you learn, you don't want to be walking along parked cars, like if they're all lined up, because you might have somebody laying down between the 2 cars. You don't want to walk too close to the wall because there could be somebody lurking in a doorway or an alley that'll yank you. You want to have situational awareness. Now, one advantage I have is because I'm virtually blind. If I take these glasses off, my vision is like almost 500 in each eye. It's like ridiculous. So I can't see without my glasses on. Everything's just a blur. So I learned off-center vision as a kid really early. So I can watch you with all the same intention as I would by staring at you when I'm not looking at you. I see you perfectly, like I have a really good idea of what you're doing, what you're looking like. So I learned off-center vision really young. So that helps, right? Like I would say, like if you're doing martial arts, like one of the things like you want to be able to do is to not, in martial arts, having clear vision's not as important as being able to sense movement and general direction and stuff. Like,
yeah. You also need very good peripheral vision as well.
Exactly.
What they call is a soft focus. Because if you ever watch the old Bruce Lee films, he doesn't, when he's fighting an opponent, he does not look at them in their eyes. He kind of looks
around
towards
them.
the chest.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
so you can see their hands and the feet movement. I can see the whole body movement.
Yeah, because I feel like if you know where somebody is planting their weight, if you could see where their feet are going, and you can keep track of the rest of their body with your peripheral, that's going to tell you a lot.
Well, yeah, the idea is you look...
Watch the shoulder movement as well, because with the shoulder movement, you know from where they're going to strike. That is a major tell when you don't want to
rely on your eyeballs to give you anything more than an indication of when the movements, and you want to see the subtle movements, not the obvious ones.
Yeah.
So, but the other thing is, you know, depending upon how trained somebody is, most of their movement's going to come from their hip. And I was always taught to look at the waist, and this is for two reasons. So when you get into a fight, the first thing you do, bite your fucking teeth. That's number one. Number two, lower your gaze to their waist. That's not just so that you're watching their whole body with that soft gaze. You're also guarding your throat. You're lowering your chin. So it's not, you want to tuck your chin. If you don't tuck your fucking chin, a sniper is going to take you out. Ding! Oh, good night. It hurts.
You just might get scalped.
Yes. Like, I'm going to tell you right now, it hurts. If you've ever been punched downward on your chin, yeah, that fucking hurts. You ever get hit this way, that hurts. But it's nothing compared to this or this. Those two, forget it. You want to keep that tucked in so that there's no throat. Like, I'm lucky I got a fat neck, so when I turtle up, there's no throat to punch. But oof.
So also when you're in combat as well, you gotta at least if you stand at full height while you're in combat, you're gonna have you're gonna be in balance. You've got to really decrease by 2 inches to get that rootedness. You know, so if somebody tries to take your legs out, you've still got that. You know, you're planted firmly on the ground. And then obviously you've got that power distribution as well. You know, you can really explode.
Yeah, to me there's different postures. Like if you're fighting a one-on-one fight and there's a grappling scenario going on, I like the planted stances and stuff. But I will say I'm a little bit more of a swordsman in my mentality in that I like to be light on my feet. I like to be able to move. It's even for a fat guy. I like being able to be evasive and to be able to charge in and out, dart in. I want to be able to... Basically, what I want to do is get off your center line and come at you from an oblique angle. And if I'm...
Yeah, that's bad.
And I tend to use weapons anyway. Like, I'm more of a weapon guy. I don't... Look, I can punch and grapple pretty well. But what I prefer to do is have a weapon. Because humans fight with weapons. That's what we do. Like, we have a brain for a reason. We fight with weapons. And I train with everything. At least I used to. Over the years... I definitely segued more to weapons because I feel like that's what I'm going to have with me. I'm always going to have something. And people are like, oh, well, what if you're in the shower? Well, if I get jumped in the shower, I mean, I could use a soap, I guess, but if I get jumped in the shower, they got me, okay? It's just...
it's just my time to go.
It's just my time to go. Like, that, I'm not in the shower often. Ask my wife. I stink. I'm kidding. But
you can always assault somebody a loofah or a sponge if you got...
Right. You're never without a weapon, guys. Unless you're in an empty room, there's always something you can use as a weapon. You know,
it also
what's that
goes
scene?
back to what we've talked about before, where it's like, if you break into somebody's house and there's a naked, like, big guy fucking charging at you, you don't want to fight. It's no longer a fight. It's you chasing them.
Yes. What's the joke? You can't win a fight against a big sweaty guy that's naked, right? You can't win that fight. There's no way to win that fight. Even if you kill the guy, you still lost that fight. I'm sorry, you did. This is why Scottish people ran around in kilts and took their clothes. This is why the Greeks would fight naked and shit. Like, you can't beat me, I'm naked.
If I'm in a fight and he started stripping off and come running at me, I'd be like, what the fuck's going on here?
Yeah, like, that's like my old grappling teacher. He would be like, all right, you know what? Everybody should keep a little bottle of 40 weight in their pocket. And if you start getting into a fight, take your clothes off quick and just pour that shit on. Just slather yourself up.
There's a fucking video I saw, it's years old now, where this fucking guy would walk up to people on the street and start beef with them. And the moment they started to, fucking square up, he'd like, oh, yeah, you want to go? You want to go? Rip off his shirt and drop his pants. And he was wearing one of those Borat onesies.
Oh.
And he'd start doing the splits and everything, like stretching pre-fight. Nobody wanted to fight.
Yeah, there's nothing like I've often saw. What was it? There was this great meme that I saw of like this big, burly, beefy motherfucker, strong as hell, and it was that meme. This guy comes up and slaps your girl on the ass. What do you do? And the next picture was this fat, out of shape dude with a fucking pistol. And he's like, that guy worked out his whole life to be shot by a fat fuck like me. I'm like, I'm with that kid. That dude right there that's the baller right there, not the big tough guy. Give me that dude with the gun right there. That sneaky fucker.
The
Yeah.
path of least resistance, isn't it?
Right? Yeah, exactly. Well, that was like a motto we had in school. You know, in the training that we did was, you could be the most talented. Like every grandmaster can be easily taken out by one punch by a lucky beginner. I mean, it's.
Well, yeah, that's it.
You know,
I used to find when you're in competition, I don't know about you, but when you fight somebody of similar level or a bit higher level, you kind of know what to expect. But when we're a beginner, they're so unpredictable. You know, it's like they don't know anything, and yet even though you've been training for years, you still don't know what they're going to come out with. You know, it could be something totally unique, and you're like, wow. I don't know how to defend that. You know what I mean?
One of the things that you must try to cultivate as you get mastery is to never lose that childish unpredictability. One of the lessons I learned also was, you'll know when you've mastered it when you've forgotten it all. I used to think that's the most ridiculous thing ever, and I think it's.
I did not understand that, but then as I started, because you say you forget, as you forget what you learn, it then becomes second nature.
Right.
So if somebody throws a technique, you'll just pull out some kind of defense, and you're like, I didn't even think about that. I just reacted.
And let me be clear, like as someone who's taught for a long time, not taught for long, but studied for a long time and taught for a little while. One of the things that I learned was that in real life on the street, what you learn in the classroom, all these techniques and forms, or if you're doing a more MMA or UFC thing, those techniques and forms are the syllabus. That's what's teaching you your body mechanics. But you've got to pressure test. You've got to, and when you do, you're going to find out that those beautiful techniques that you do in the dojo very rarely happen the way that you're training them. So you've got to train.
You mean the guy's not going to attack me with a knife in this exact manner?
You learn that the hard way very quick. Yes.
I can actually expand on that. When you get into a fight, because like you probably did whatever martial arts for a good decade or so, like I did Kung Fu and Tai Chi for 15 years.
Yeah, I'm going to say it was at least a decade actively.
A real fight, 80% of what you know or what you've learned goes out the window straight away, and you're left with 20% of pure survival. Now, in order to master a martial art, you've got to increase that survival percentage each time. So you've got to train harder, be more diligent, and really analyze yourself, and and then eventually you'll get to that where you've got 80% of your skills and 20% survivability. You know, it's. And like,
you know what I do?
You do learn the hard way.
I study what actual warriors do, modern warriors and post warriors, what they do. All that technique and stuff is wonderful discipline. It's a wonderful art. But the actual black magic of fighting has nothing to do, or very little to do, with technique and all this stuff. You need a certain fundamental level, yes. You need to know how to use your tools. But that's not what wins the fight. What wins the fight, number one, the most important thing of all the skills that you can possibly develop, there is nothing more important than this. It is the ability to flip the switch and act. That is the most important thing. Because 9 times out of 10, fights are won by the person who acts or reacts, but really it's the one who acts. And the one who acts without hesitation, without delay, without any consideration, it is literally, I am acting and you're reacting to me. So the person who has the aggression, who can flip the switch and be in kill mode without any hesitation, is the one who wins. And I've seen that in my own life. I've studied a lot of warriors. I know a lot of soldiers, and they all say the same thing. That will take you so much further. Like, you could be the greatest grandmaster in the world, but if you hesitate because you're either overthinking the technique, or you're trying to do a technique, or you're not sure if it's the right thing to do because it's more immoral or something, all of these things that fuck up your OODA loop makes you lose. What
Yeah,
makes
this
you
is-
what
yeah.
makes you win is the willingness to just flip the switch and say this person's dead or this person's going down or whatever, and then carrying it out, like taking that to action. So that's the most important thing. The second most important thing, really the most important thing, part two, there's really two most important things, right? The second most important thing is intellect, having good tactics and strategy.
Well,
So-
yeah.
So,
Yeah,
like,
I-
I've talked to my guys that I was, like, some of them might even be listening right now. I would ask them, like, I'm a 300-pound dude who's got some martial arts training in my background, and I've got some hunting and some airsoft training stuff. Would I be serviceable in, like, fighting in a gunfight? And they're like, you're a smart guy, and you sound like you know tactics. You'd be fine. Sure, you wouldn't be able to hike 10 miles to get in a position to do the shooting, but you know what to do, right? And that counts for a lot more than being in great. Like, the movies makes it look like only Arnold Schwarzenegger would be a good warrior, but in reality, it's the guy who knows, all right, that's a good ambush spot, that's a good overwatch spot, that's got good defilade, I can do this over here, I can do that over there. Those are the guys who win, and they're willing to act. The guys who know that, as soon as you hear shooting, you drop down, you get off the X. They've already got an advantage over the people who are like, I just try to shoot back from where they're standing. They die. Right? So anyway, we're talking a lot. I see some people saying we need some females in the chat because I think some of the girls are getting like, oh, there's so much testosterone.
Oh, we'll go back. Well, what I was going to say, so from the obviously from the Tai Chi, the aspect of martial arts is where I became more energy sensitive, and that kind of leads to, I know we've gone on a bit of a tangent around the houses, but I am more energy sensitive than I am clairvoyant. So when I'm doing my rituals, I know ahead of time. Well, I know when the spirits are here. I was getting ready for one ritual, and Lucifer is like already there, and I'm like, I've not even called you in yet, and you're here. And I know Lucifer's a couple of his energy signatures. One of them would be like, I'll be sat down, I'll be studying, reading, and I'll get a nice gentle breeze either on my arm, my face, or on my head. And then the other one is extreme heat. He's like, wow, I'm burning up here. And I'm like, I'm going to have to strip off and do my ritual naked because I'm getting that hot, you know what I mean? Yep. And also I can walk into if I say I go to, I do a few investigations sometime at my local cemetery. And I always take note of the temperature when I'm outside the cemetery compared to when I'm inside. And it drops astronomically. We're talking about between 5 or 6 degrees drop. And it's absolutely freezing. And you can feel, when me and my friend go up there, you can feel the spirits like coming out and around you and surrounding you. And you're like, wow, there's something here. And there was one time we were doing an investigation up there. And there was we used a couple of apps like the necrophonic and things like that. And there was a lady called Margaret who came through on the necrophonic. And as I'm stood there, it felt like somebody was holding my hand, and I'm like, yes, she's here. And then we sat down on this bench, and this was a weird synchronicity. This bench was actually dedicated in her memory. This bench is dedicated to Margaret, whatever her surname was. So I think it's weird. It's like, yeah, I know if ritual's working as well, because I can feel it. It's not thinking, oh, has it worked? Has it not worked? If I get that feel it's worked, I know it's successful. It's like I did a consecration on one of my altars, and it's a really good consecration ritual by Connor Kendall. And then when I did it first time, it didn't feel right. I didn't feel that power. I'm like, there's something not right there. I'm gonna have to do it again. So the next time I did it, as I was resurrecting the altar, and I'm bringing up the magical powers, I get this real chill, like a proper deep chill within, and I can feel these chills also on each shoulder, And as my voice is going deeper, saying this magical chant, I hear this growl, and it's like, and that's when I'm like, yeah, this is working. This is working.
Yeah, that's a pretty good sign.
One beautiful altar. There's some shit gonna come out of this. But yeah, I think clairvoyance is something I need to work on, and
I'll tell you one good
even
way to
thought
do
about
clairvoyance. You know, if you practice divination enough, tarot,
Yeah.
dice, anything you use that is good for. Now, my advice is, within reason, you can do some future prediction. Like you can, like, you know, something that's going to happen any moment. You can actually get away with it. Like I think we all have experiences of, like, you know, predicting something that's about to happen, right? That's not hard.
I summon the lightning to strike right now.
Right, that will happen. I've had it happen amazingly, actually. Stuff like that can happen. But I would warn people against, like, you know, when someone says, will I get my girlfriend back? That's not gonna be what you can find out most of the time. Like, future prediction is not. So when people ask me, are you clairvoyant? Now, of course, we have to be, let's take the definition, right? Clairvoyant means you have visions. That's what it really means. You have visions of things. Future, past, present, that's what clairvoyance is. Clairaudience is hearing things. That's what that is. But since it sounds like we're talking about prediction, really, that's, you know, or not just prediction, but seeing things and experiencing things in that ESP kind of way. I don't think that the question is, does it exist? I'm going to say, how reliable is it, and how reliable is it for you, and can you train it to be better? And I'm going to say, yes, it absolutely is real. It's mostly unreliable. It can be trained to be more reliable. But in my experience and knowledge, I don't think you can get to the men who stare at goats level. That may be possible, but I don't think, if those people exist, they've already been scooped up and they're being used, right?
Yeah.
And if it's possible to train to that level, then I think that the only way to do that is probably by way of, like, whatever secret program develops that, right? Like, it's not something you're going to find in some book at Kmart. You know, it's not going to be on Amazon. How to unlock perfect clairvoyance. It's just not going to happen. But
yeah,
we can get
also. Sorry, go on.
But we can get kind of. Oh, go ahead.
Clairvoyance is. It can also be how it works for you. Could also be part of your perception. You know, because how one person is clairvoyant, it could be another person could be totally different as a clairvoyant. You know. Mm-hmm.
And never treat it like a machine. You know, anytime you encounter a clairvoyant, the worst thing you can do is try to test them. Not because it proves that they can't do it, although that does tend to happen, but it fucks with the ability, because it's not. Clairvoyance works when it's on a spur of the moment, intuitive pulse. When you're sitting there and you just go, I think we're about to be attacked, and then you look up and there's a ship coming at you on the horizon in a video game. It works like that. It's built into your psyche as part of your early warning system, and it's meant to be something that happens synchronistically. That's when it's powerful. If you sit down to do divination, really what it should be is your intuitiveness is telling you this is a good time to do divination. You should never do divination because you command the divination to happen. Like, I do my consults with people all the time, and people say, would you do a card reading of me? I'll say, okay, because I feel like intuitively it's a good time. Or I'll say, nope, I'm just not feeling it. I don't think it's the right thing. I don't need it. Or I don't want to. And I'll remind people that cards are a crutch. Cards are not, like, I only use cards when I'm either too emotionally invested, or I'm confused, or I'm not getting a good reading, my normal methods, and I need a little extra hint. Because then the cards will either trigger something in me, and I will put two and two together, or in working with the person and talking about the cards, it will draw out something that maybe they didn't think to tell me. And then that helps me to build from there, and then I get a better reading. So really for clairaudience, so if we're talking about clairvoyance and stuff, seeing things and experiencing things, have I visualized something and it comes true? Absolutely. Have I visualized something that is not here and it exists? Absolutely. There's a lot of things, and I think we all have that. I'm not special. Maybe I have it a little more than some people, but I'm sure there's people, maybe even people in this chat, that have it way more than I do. You know, my gift is more aligned with reading people, manipulating people, magic of that sort. That's like, I'm a 10 in that, you know. Predicting the future, not bad, because especially if it's social future, I can predict that pretty well. I can predict what people are going to do. I can predict that stuff pretty good. Predicting the future, no, not my thing. Astral travel to somebody's house and stuff. Can I imagine it and visualize it? Yes, but I also don't think there's that big of a difference. I think ultimately they're more closely related. I don't want to get into that. We've talked about that before. So clairvoyance to me is best utilized not as an intentional, on purpose, I'm going to be clairvoyant right now. Clairvoyance works kind of like deja vu. It just happens or it doesn't. And you can, I think you can increase the odds of it working by doing practices that make you more inclined to notice synchronicities. Doing magic makes you more inclined to notice synchronicities. Doing predictive stuff makes you more inclined. So practicing prediction will help. So if you do a lot of tarot reading, if you do a lot of scrying, if you do a lot of this and that, I think it does improve your clairvoyance, because it may not happen when you're scrying, but then you'll be taking a shit 5 hours later and you'll suddenly have like, I wonder what my friend's doing today. And your phone will ring and it's your friend.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
I've had that a few times, to be honest.
Right.
I would have been on the toilet, but I thought, oh, I wonder what my friend's up to, and then next minute he's ringing me. You know.
Right. And some people have connections. Like I know Eric and me, there's times where I think to him like, let's hang out tonight. Let's talk tonight. You know, I'll send it to him, and then he'll like text me later that day, and vice versa. I'm sure is happening too. Some people have the shining, quote, like the movie says. And there's we don't even need to be in the same time zone or we're talking on the phone to have a conversation. And we can, something about it, we have a similar, something about our experiences are aligned so that we're on the same wavelength, even a million miles away. So that's not because we're like butt buddies or something stupid like that. It's just, it's how some people are. And that happens too. So for example, like, if somebody has like a twin brother or sister, it happens a lot to them where they'll be thinking the same thing at the same time. And they go, is that because we're twins? You know, like, what the hell? It can be really weird like that, but it does happen, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's
anyway,
like,
Jasonia, I want to give you one more comment or question or whatever, and then we're going to go to the next person, or we're just going to we're going to let Flesh Priest carry it for a little while.
Right. So what I was going to say is, when you get those synchronicities, one of my, you know, if I'm going to get something like a vision, I usually get an energetic sensation beforehand, and depending on how I interpret that energy is depending on what that vision means to me. So I suppose your clairvoyance and being energy sensitive work together, so it can actually give you a better prediction, if you like. Mm-hmm. If you can get those two working together, and also with your clairaudience as well, if you can get those three working together, I think you can become very powerful that way, you know, even more powerful.
Yeah, I think you're right. And like I said, the more you practice and the more you integrate other sensations into it, to be fair, again, clairvoyance is what you see. That's having visions. Yeah. Clairaudience is what you hear. And as someone who doesn't have a lot of my ability to visualize internally is less than average. So clairvoyance is, if I have it, it's flashes. It's never a long, prolonged sequence of vision. It's usually, you know, I'll picture like, you know, I don't know. I'll picture something briefly as a flash, and I go, oh, I wonder what that means something, and it will. So, all right, brother.
It tends to repeat itself, doesn't it?
What's that?
Over and over. If you get that certain flash, you know, it's like I go on the assumption of, if I see something more than 3 times, it means something.
It could, like, especially numbers. Like if I'm sitting there and I see, some number over and over again, I'll look it up right away in my numerology, stuff on Amazon, on Google. Like there's stuff going on that people have no idea. Like like with the current situation, people don't know what's going on. All the elites are suddenly flashing 1111 to each other, which can mean conflict, war. I mean, it means a lot of different things, but it can mean a lot of interesting things. It's a very interesting number. So there's interesting shit going on right now, right? So
that's actually my birthday as well, 11/11.
Yeah. So
I'm gonna live at number 11.
I've always found that the number 8s and 4s have always been shitty. But all right, brother. So it was good. Seeing you again, and let's get to the next person. And if there's nobody, then we will regret not having the dulcet tones of someone from your part of the world.
I actually don't have anybody else lined up right now.
You
Nobody's messaging
motherfucker.
me. I feel so lonely. I
Well-
also want to point out there's 11 points on my logo. I've infiltrated.
Oh my gosh.
It's all happening tonight.
It's happening! It's happening! Oh my god,
Grab
it's
your toilet
happening! There's no rules.
There's one rule.
Okay, there's
They're
one
on
rule.
in it.
There's one rule. All right, brother. Thank you for showing up. Hopefully we'll see. Some people are predicting all kinds of lockdowns and martial law sometime between now and the early January. So get your stuff together. I think it might even affect you guys over there if it does happen. So
it's up and down so much up here. We're going tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, backwards and forwards. There's so much misinformation going on over in this country.
we can't keep it up, man. We can't keep it up. We can't. That's the point. They're trying to kill us. They're trying to fucking kill us, and we gotta. The time to start saying no is here. Like, it's time.
I'll go out fighting. I'll take a few down with me.
That's right. That's fucking right. That's the attitude you gotta have. If every one of us takes 2 out, we won't have to kill more than half of ourselves to fucking finish the job. All right, brother.
All right. Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome, dude.
Thanks for
Thank
being
you,
here,
man.
dude. Appreciate you.
Cheers. See you in a bit. Bye.
All right, bye. Man, I hate that guy. What the fuck? No, I love Jasoni. He's fucking awesome. He's fucking awesome.
Yeah, no, he's great. Cult of the Sun says IRL Ron Paul posting.
Fuck yes, man. Although I'm a little wary right now because he's been very much against my boy Trump, and his son is only halfway, like milquetoast, like trying to help him out. I don't know, man. Come on, Ron Paul. Like, I think Ron Paul is right philosophically 110%, but pragmatically speaking, we need that fucking lion energy right now. We need that motherfucker in the house to fucking stop the New World Order. That's what we fucking need. So then once Trump cleans house, then we bring in the Ron Paul to fix everything else. But that's just me. That's just me.
I think I like Ron Paul a bit more now.
Oh, fuck you.
And hold on. Who the
Probably
fuck
not
said
for the
that?
reasons I just said.
Arachnos. Don't talk about riding the dragon in this house.
Oh, you pervert. Fucking pull it out of your ass. Come on, let's go.
So this is way throwing. I don't know if I've ever told you this story. I think people would be entertained by it. With the whole fucking pop culture thing. Oh my god, why did his name just leave me? It's oh fuck, the guy I always have trouble with his name. The gentlemanly older guy. Oh fuck.
Oh, Johan?
Johan, thank you. Oh my god. I've been so shit with names recently.
You need more
when we were
sleep or something.
I really do, actually.
Yeah.
When we were talking about Star Wars earlier, he mentioned how Count Dooku was his favorite character, and how he would love to have a beer with, say, Sir Christopher Lee. Do you know about the conversation Christopher Lee had with Peter Jackson during Lord of the Rings about his death?
No.
So that motherfucker, whatever he did during the Second World War is still classified, but yeah, he did some shit. And there's a behind the scenes thing where, in the second Lord of the Rings movie, he fucking tumbles off the tower and gets speared and dies. Spoiler alert.
Oh yeah, and I remember that part. He says that's not how you sound or something like that. Yeah, because that motherfucker was that motherfucker was like black forces and shit. Like forget fucking special ops or something. That guy was like, yeah, I'm just gonna go in and use a stiletto and just freaking stick it in your important bits. Yeah.
Yeah, but the way he says it too, so matter of factly of Peter, a man does not. Do you know what sound a man makes when he's stabbed through the lungs from behind? No, I don't, Mr. Lee. Well, I do, and it's not that. Okay, you're the director now.
And it's great because he would have said it with that exact voice, right? He would have said it in that like fucking, yeah.
Just matter of factly. Yes, I have listened to the Christmas metal album, Evan. It's fucking sick. Sir Christopher Lee just doing Christmas. That's the only Christmas music allowed. It's Sir Christopher Lee with a heavy metal guitar.
Yeah, right. So let's do a little bit of a buy our crap segment halfway through this time, so we can pay some bills tonight. One thing I'd like to tell everybody, first and foremost, I have to find my links here, but on my link tree, which is part of the description of this bad boy. So you may have noticed in all of my videos now, that big long ass description where I'm like freaking crying for money and shit, that's been replaced with a single link tree button. So if you guys go there,
right in the chat right now.
Yeah. So if you go, actually, I'm gonna staple it up there in a moment. If you go to that link tree link, there's a lot of stuff in there. There's one that's for Teespring, and Teespring, I am having a sale for 15% off until, I believe I put it to the 31st. I forget. So this way, if you get it's a little bit of money after the holidays, it should also count for you. But it's 15% off, and the discount code is all capitals Krampus 666. So if you want to get a little bit of a deal, you want to get a tapestry like this one instead of paying full price, it'll basically take off most of the shipping, if not all of it. It's 15% off, and that goes a long way. And I prefer, like, if you're going to try to help me out, sure, you can go to PayPal, Patreon, you can send me money on here with a live chat. That's great, but I really would prefer that you get a thing. I like it when people get a thing. I want you to have an object or a book, some kind of product that I put energy into. This is my lost leader. This is just my fun thing. This is something we do for fun. I would do this anyway. So if you want to support us and you want to make it so that I can keep doing it easily, go ahead and purchase a beautiful paperback from Amazon, or go to Teespring and get that discount code Krampus 666. So let me do this here.
Oh,
Oops,
I already got you covered. It's already
you did,
in chat.
Huh? Let me
Discount code and everything.
Yeah, oh, you did. Where is it? I'm gonna pin it.
It's the fourth comment up from the bottom.
I hate myself right now. There it is. I see Johan.
Just above Johan.
No.
Or just below him, depending on which one you're reading.
No, I don't see that. I see. Nope.
Okay, hold on. I'm just gonna post it again. It's the very newest one. Oh, you know what? We might be different because I have fucking top chat turned on.
Oh, okay. I think I do too, technically.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah,
it's the newest.
Nope, nothing yet. Right now, my most recent one is Dice Controller. The flub.
Yeah, goddamn! I'm just beneath Dice Controller. God damn it!
No.
You know what? So I realized when I was doing that stream last week, you can set the defaults to display by live chat or top chat on your videos.
Yeah, mine says live chat. I think when you're doing the streaming itself, it's only one. You can only do it the one way.
Huh. Okay.
Well.
God damn it.
You might, as a moderator, you might be able to pin it.
I might. Okay, yeah, I've never used that power before. Hold on. No, all I can do is remove it.
Oh, burger tits. All right.
Patchwork with a super chat says, "Hey, just wanted to say, loving this stream, brother."
Hey, thank you, Patchwork.
Appreciate
thank you, brother.
dude.
Patchwork, one of the best. One of the best. So yeah, guys, if you want to help out, that's definitely a good way to do it. Violence is life. Damn it, I was on Top Shot too. I hate that. That's one of the things I hate about these things. Is like their algorithmic way of fucking promoting and censoring things sometimes is just like, get out of my shit, man. I let me do it. Like, there's a reason I'm a freaking Windows user and not an Apple user, right? Because I like doing it the hard way, but I like having that control, okay? Don't fucking tell me what I want. I'll tell you what I want.
Yeah, because like Apple is, we're not talking about what they cost for the products or the whole culture around them. The
Or
products
the fact that they
themselves-
use slave labor to build everything. We won't go into that either.
Yeah, but like the operating system itself, not bad. It just fucking handholds you the whole way. Like, it
Yeah.
doesn't give you enough control over everything.
And you know what I really hate is, like, in Windows, I liked the older Windows, I guess because I got used to it. But now it's like every place where I expect to find the thing that I want to use, the different, the different directory or whatever, like it's just different now and it's wrong. It's just so wrong. Like it's not logical anymore. Yeah.
I don't now. Oh, now you sound like Grandpa Simpson.
I do. Back in my day.
Back in my day, we only had yellow M&Ms.
That's right.
And, they were
And
called
we were
red
happy to
poison.
have them. Let's sacrifice them to our God. Yeah. Grandpa Simpson. Oh, man.
Hell, Simpsons is even a dated reference now.
Fuck Simpsons now, man. I like the old ones. Like, up to, like, I don't know. Right now I'm on season 8, but, like, you can't go too much further than 10. You can go a little bit further than 10. Once you get to the ones that are out right now, they're, like, way too political and activistic and bullshit now. And it's just, they're not even funny. It's just so formula now. It's, like, completely dead. Like, it's worse than Zombie Simpsons. Like, Zombie Simpsons is better than this shit. Like, there's just nothing. I think seasons like 3 through 10 or so, maybe 11 or 12 of Simpsons, then you got to do all of Futurama, but you don't really need the Comedy Central ones. Like, that's your complete Matt Groening whatever collection right there. And that makes me happy, man. That's like where I hang my hat. Like, those two, like, if I was, like, I used to have a fantasy of, like, if I was in a bomb shelter, like in the movie that just came out not too long ago, Cloverfield Lane, like, what would I have stocked in my bomb shelter to keep me entertained so I wouldn't go completely crazy? And, like, like, sometimes I'll limit it to, like, 10 things or 20 things or 5 things. The Simpsons and Futurama has always been on that list, of, like, a couple of things that just you get a lot of mileage out of. So Simpsons, Futurama, maybe Star Trek, maybe Farscape. That'll take you a long time to run through all of those if you're not binging it constantly, And you could rewatch a lot of that. It's still cool every time you go. Like Star Trek,
yeah.
The original Star Trek, forget it. I've watched the original Star Trek episodes. I can recite the lines. I know which episode it is before the first, before the credits roll in the beginning. I can tell you which episode it is almost every time.
If you're able to recite the lines, that explains why you're so magical. You fucking somehow were linked into somebody else's cadence. Just, we will go.
Yeah,
Where
he's
no
tough.
man
Oh, absolutely.
has
Yeah.
gone
Yeah.
before.
What was that meme that was like, let's start a new trend where if somebody says do the Shatner or so, like, do it as what was that? Yeah, like, whatever you're doing right now, Shatnerize it. Like, Captain
Just
Kirk it.
over dramatic.
Yeah.
I'm so happy that the downstairs neighbors aren't there anymore. I just made a lot of noise there.
Welcome
Yeah.
to my stream tonight, everybody. I want to introduce you to Flesh Priest. He is one of the best.
I am going to make a quippy, nonsensical statement belittling the conversation now.
Do a Mr. Spock. Everybody, Mr. Spock's easy. Just be like the devil.
That is illogical.
No, see,
I watched TNG.
you're more Futurama. See, you're more of my Futurama soulmate. You're not my Star Trek soulmate. Like you and I would be on the Planet Express ship. Like that would be. I don't know if you'd be Fry or I'd be Bender or what, but I think we'd get along on that way better. Farscape was the bomb, Dice. That was my Farscape and I always say Serenity because I like the movie before I like the shows, but
Same.
you know what I'm talking about. Fucking Firefly, yeah. Cowboy
Yes.
Bebop, man. Cowboy Bebop was my other one, dude. Oh, one of my other favorite universes. Oh, hell yeah.
You know what? So there was actually something I wanted to ask you, and it related to the first question we had on here. Does anything come to mind with media media that you've consumed that you would say is definitely magically influenced, like magical teachings from media that doesn't appear magic, or also things where it's like, I don't think this was influenced, but this definitely has lessons in here. Like
Sure.
The Matrix is one I could throw out there.
Yeah, I mean, Matrix is like a no-brainer. It's very much, I don't think it's intentionally non-dualist, but it's definitely in that category. It's in that direction, right? Because it doesn't really specifically talk about non-duality at all, but everything that it talks about is found within non-duality, for one thing. Yeah, absolutely. Geez, things that would influence magical practice. Well,
'Cause I feel like there's obviously a lot of stuff like...
I'm trying to narrow it down in my head. I'm going to say Star Wars and Dune would be like...
Sorry about the squirting noises.
That's fine. You make
Don't
those all
love
the
my
time.
vape.
Star Wars and Dune, like if I could only pick two, it would be those two. Because those two contain a huge, huge, huge amount of valuable, deep metaphysical truth. Even The Matrix kind of pales in comparison, actually, in some ways. The Matrix is too easy. It hands it to you on a silver platter in a way that makes you stupid. Because you'll watch that movie like, we're all in a simulation, and you'll know that and can recite that like a fool, but you won't know what it really means until you really wrestle with it. And the movie kind of hands it to you too. It's kind of like Zen Buddhists don't like the Shobogenzo because it like tells you everything like right up front, and it's like that doesn't help. Like they want you to actually struggle with it a little bit. You're supposed to go through the process because that's the only way you get it. But Dune is yeah, someone agrees. David Morgan says Star Wars and Dune 100%. You know, because Dune is amazing. Like I saw something on PBS today that pissed me off. They did some chick was talking about Dune and it was all woke context, and I'm like, I get it, like because Dune had a lot of, for its time, very progressive ideas, and it was definitely, it made a big deal about ecology and how important ecology is, which includes our environment and everything. It definitely had a very big piece of that, but they were talking about like it's basically white boy power fantasy, the girl says, and I turned that video off so fucking fast. Fuck you and your identitarianism bullshit. Like that just pisses me off. Great way to oversimplify Dune down into something negative, and racist. Meanwhile, it wasn't that. Like if you, Dune is like a modern day story of both Machiavellian intrigue and very deep metaphysics. Without being, it's a very plausible futuristic metaphysics, because if you look into the things that they're doing and studying, like, they don't have computers, they don't have thinking machines because all the thinking machines rebelled in an AI war like thousands of years ago. So you're not allowed to have real thinking machines. So instead, human beings have been modified and evolved so that you can be trained as a mentat with certain chemicals and spice, and your brain suddenly is better than a fucking computer. Like humans are better than computers. So it's like, it's a really cool universe, and it's really, really deep and dark, very, very mysterious and very metaphysical. I fucking love it.
Yeah, because I feel like that's the failing a lot of the time is people, they like the aesthetics. Everybody wants to cast Fireball, as Conjure Mama said earlier.
Oh, I fucking hate that shit. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I fucking love it. Like, we'd all love to do that, like it's cool, but that's not
Johan
letting it about.
Johan nailed another excellent one that is definitely on. If I'm going to do a top 5 list, it would be on my top 5 list. Although I don't think it would be number 3, but it would be on the top 5 list, and that's Excalibur. And Merlin was fucking badass. I love that. The charm of making comes from that. One of my favorite scenes is when he's resurrected. I don't want to give it away if you haven't seen it, but if you haven't seen it, it's from like 1982 or something. If you haven't seen it, it's your own damn fault. Go look it up. One of my favorite scenes is near the end when Merlin's coming back, and Arthur's like, "Merlin, are you a dream?" And he says, "A dream to some, a nightmare to others," and he like disappears, and it's like the coolest fucking scene ever. Yeah, that was a good scene, and that movie will definitely teach you some fundamental things. Let's see, the movie Legend is excellent for getting your brain into that fantasy vibe and understanding the fantasy and how it could be
Is that the one where Tim Curry is Satan
Yes.
with a really deep voice? Okay,
Yes.
yeah, never seen it, but yeah.
Yeah, I'll make you watch it. The movie Warlock is also on my top list, top 5, because it actually references real grimoires and shit. It's actually pretty badass. It uses, Zamiel is the name of the devil that he talks to through a medium. It's really good shit. Yeah, fucking Warlock is up there. It's a great left-hand Beth, because when I saw it as a kid, I was actually on Redfern's side, and as I'm an adult, I'm like, no, I'm on the Warlock side. I get what he's doing. I want to be that motherfucker. So I don't know if you guys like Warlock in the Dark Crystal. Oh shit, I forgot Dark Crystal. Cannot forget Dark Crystal. That actually should come ahead of Warlock by quite a few spots.
I love that movie, but that is also childhood trauma for me.
Really?
Jesus. Yeah, as a young fucking kid, like 5 years old, fucking watching the life force be drained and all the creatures falling in the like
True.
some of that shit. That was fucking nightmare fuel, like
True.
literal nightmare fuel
Yeah,
for
I could
me
see
at
that.
that age.
For me, that was all magic. I guess I was always evil. It didn't bother me.
I mean, you would have been watching it older than I was at the time.
Not
too,
really. I think when I saw it, I
Really?
wasn't. No, because that movie. When did that come out? 84, 83?
Oh yeah, I guess it was older. It was just I guess we just had that on the fucking VHS collection.
Dark Crystal. This is fuck you, modern world. You fucking millennials giving that movie a fucking 66 on Metacritic. I should come to your house and shit on everything that you care about.
Yeah,
Fucking postmodern pricks.
Master Wu Wei from Kung Fu Panda. Oh shit. So, I think that I don't know.
I'm gonna give you one more movie when you're done. Just remind me. Go ahead.
Yeah, so, okay, Kung Fu Panda, I don't know. I was about to say I know what the most out of left field answer was, but then Kung Fu Panda came up. Necro Nikki said Married with Children.
Mm-hmm. Married with Children?
I've never seen it, so that just...
Married with Children. I guess it teaches you a lot about life anyway. I don't know if it teaches you about metaphysics. I loved Married with Children. No joke. That's a good series. You should watch it, but you probably want to start like season 2 or 3 because the first season's kind of corny, second one's kind of corny. It starts picking up afterwards. It gets more and more absurdist, and then it gets really funny. Like at some point, like Al Bundy's dealing with aliens and shit. It's just really funny at that point. All right, let me think. So I had another movie I was going to say, and it just completely slipped my mind. Oh! For everybody who likes martial arts and Eastern philosophy, I don't know why I didn't put this number 1. This one should probably be number 1. If I'm going to be honest with you, this one should be number 1. But most people aren't going to like it. It is a movie starring David Carradine. And it was supposedly written by Bruce Lee. He was going to be the one who starred in it, but Bruce Lee died. And I guess the rights to it went to whoever it went to. And David Carradine took on Bruce Lee's role. And they picked some dude with like curly hair to be the guy that I think Bruce Lee was going to play. I forget. But the movie is called Circle of Iron or The Silent Flute. Now, this movie is all of that and a bag of chips when it comes to philosophy. When it comes to philosophy and metaphysics, it's all that and a bag of chips. If you've never heard of it, it is not going to be a movie where you go, wow, this is a great movie, unless you're really into the cerebral side of everything in it. This is a movie which is like the quintessential story of this guy who's seeking enlightenment, and he's a martial artist, and he goes to try to... The Silent Flute's the other name of it, Jasonius Arcanum, yep. It's either going to be called Circle of Iron or the Silent Flute. You should be able to get it for free streaming somewhere. And it's got some of the best fortune cookie wisdom. Oh my god, and I'm going to say another one. I can't end this list. This list is too long. The Last Dragon, Bruce Leroy. That movie is not just a good blaxploitation movie, it is also one of the finest bits of martial arts philosophy and life philosophy that you'll find in a movie ever. Let's see, who knows Last Dragon?
I'm gonna come in real quick and say I've been listening to a podcast recently where they did something I really liked, where they would sit down and watch a movie, be like, oh yeah, so this is the synopsis of the movie, okay, we're gonna go watch it, and then musical break and come back and talk about it. And it's all through movies which are related to magic, I think that might actually be kind of fun to have like a fucking movie night and then come on and like okay, everybody's homework assignment, go watch this movie. And
The
then,
cool
like,
thing is
have
we could do
a
that
night
on
to talk
Discord and
about-
not get in trouble. We could actually do that on
Yeah.
Discord. That's actually a great idea. We should set that up. We should do a movie night sometime in the next like month. And I'll pick one of those movies off the list. Probably Silent Flute right now. If I had to do it off the top of my head, it's going to be that. Because nobody's seen that shit. I guarantee. I'm looking in the comments. Nobody knows what I'm talking about. And most people are probably going to tune out halfway through and be like, that was the most boring 70s movie ever. The martial arts suck. Everything sucks. But the depth of it is really good. I think we should do a movie night, dude. A monthly movie night would be right up our alley. There's a lot of movies you need to see. You know, Beastmaster would be on that list. Conan would be on that fucking list. Like, there's so many great things that would be on that list.
There's one I've always wanted to watch called The Mountain, which is very divisive, but I know it has some magical influence in there where it's about, I think, like 10 dudes all seeking enlightenment and, you know, trying to reach the top of the mountain, going through this hero's journey, and it ends interestingly.
I think you would like the Silent Flute for the same reason. It's more of a one-on-one deal. And there's a lot of fortune cookie wisdom. Somebody said Kung Fu the Legend Continues, or the original one. Yes, but maybe to a lesser extent, a little bit. Like the original Kung Fu, I just can't watch. I try. I can't watch the original. Now the Legend Continues, the one set in the 90s where he's with his son, I liked that one. Maybe because it was more like my speed at the time. But I liked that one. I liked how it integrated into the modern world so well. And it was really like, it just felt like an even more powerful East meets West kind of story than the original even did. Because I really didn't buy David Carradine as what he was in the original. It was just like, should have been Bruce Lee, man. Should have been Bruce Lee. But the second, like the new one, it fit with him because they explained it better, that he was this white guy. It made a lot more sense. It was like a lot less wrong. But yeah, no, I loved the especially the newer stuff, the legendary journeys or whatever, the sequel stuff when he's with his son. That was good shit. Fucking Army of Darkness has some good magic in it too. Klaatu Varata. What about Hellraiser? The Hellraiser stuff, that's got some good magical. That's the thing. You don't have to look far to find magic in pop culture. You really don't.
Yeah, oh man, don't get me started on Hellraiser. I loved the first two. After that, it gets, third one's all right. After that, it gets, there's only the first three.
I pretty much liked them all. I'm trying to think if there's one I didn't like. Wasn't there one where they're like on a space station and where they have to like shine light on it? Like they try to make a light box or something. That one I didn't like.
I've never watched it, but I heard about it and just, yeah, no, it doesn't exist. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that one's like it. That's like Matrix 2 for me. Like Matrix 1 and 3 exist, Matrix 2 doesn't. The new Trinity of Star Wars doesn't exist. That never happened. Rogue One was a standalone. And really, it was just for the last 5 minutes. That's the only part. Nightbreed is good shit. Yep, Nightbreed is good.
I feel like I know that. Oh fuck yeah, Event Horizon. I love that movie.
Event Horizon, yeah, that does a good job of. That one is I love any movie that will try to rationally explain hell and magic and all that. I love it when they do that, especially when they do it well. And Event Horizon does a great job of that.
Oh yeah.
Like, oh, it's faster than light and it goes to another dimension. It just so happens that dimension's hell. Who would have thought?
I don't know how much you know about Warhammer 40K, but I love the fan theory that was the first ship, because the way that they travel faster than light in 40K is that they rip open a kind of wormhole that sends them into the void realm, which, you know, every foot they travel there is like 1,000 feet back in the material plane. So that was the first fucking void warp ship.
Yeah, that is kind of one of the theories of faster than light travel, is that you go to a dimension where you are technically, the universe is smaller that you're going to. It's a smaller universe. So when you go there, your ship is like the size of a planet. And so you're magnified that much in your speed when you move, and then when you come back here, you get back down. Like it overlays a different way. It's pretty cool. Yeah, but no, I get what you're saying, and I'm not really too familiar with Warhammer, but enough that I know what you're talking about. It does sound. I think what I don't like about Warhammer is it's just too much. Like it's like
they turn it to 11.
Yeah, everything's at 211. Like, and they include everything. The kitchen sink is in there, and it's got battle armor on it. You know, it's like, oh, okay.
Oh, you know what though? Fucking magic influences in pop culture. Do you know about the in 40K the orcs? How their whole thing with they basically practice chaos magic. Do you know about that?
No, I didn't know that. No.
Yeah, there's this whole fucking. I fucking love it. It's so great. They the orcs, they have this thing where, and I'm gonna, if there's any 40K fans in here, just forgive me, I'm gonna butcher some of this, but like, they will paint their guns red because they believe red does more damage. And they're stupid, but they're so their danger is that they're incredibly magically powerful, where just through their belief it becomes reality, but they're so stupid that if they were smarter, they would be a force to be reckoned with. But because
maybe their stupidity makes them. Maybe their stupidity makes the magic work better for them.
Yeah, but you know, the weapons they wield, the guns should not work. But because they believe, yeah, that's gonna work, it does. Anybody kills that orc and picks up that gun, it will not work.
There's something to that, man. Why do you put pinstripes on a car? Because it goes faster when you do. It just does.
Yeah. But yeah, I fucking love that.
You know, I mean, that's the thing. Like, and this is why I often tell people to temper your expectations with magic. And I know that's you know, I notice that I'm like the only one who does that. Like, not many people in the so-called community tell you to temper your expectations. Everyone's like, they're always trying to outdo each other and how powerful they are and what they can do with magic, and not a lot of proof, right? Not a lot of evidence. My suggestion to people is, I'm not saying don't aim for the sun. I'm just saying temper your expectations to something that's rational. Try to achieve what is realistically plausible. And you may get to the point where you can do the unthinkable, but start with what's plausible. Start with the stuff that is easy. You know, try to get yourself a better job. Try to make your friend call you on the phone tomorrow. Stuff like that. You know, start with things that are rationally plausible. Hollywood magic is 99% bullshit and 1% astral. And what I mean by that is, or should I say 99% astral and 1% realistic. If you see something in a movie, we'll say the movie Warlock, for example, there's a scene where he's reading the Grand Grimoire and he finds a missing piece of it. Now, if anybody's read the Grand Grimoire, there's nothing in there that's going to tell you how to like make flaming energy go between your hands and do cool shit. But while he's reading it, suddenly he learns how to manipulate magical energy and make like flaming energy come out of his hands. That's an astral trick. That's actually useful in the astral. Everything that you imagine that's cool in magic in stories and video games is functional in magic. You know, if I'm really into it, if I'm really into character and I'm going into my temple, I'm going into my ritual space, I will pantomime in the physical realm, reaching out with my hand and lighting magically the torches around the temple. You know, I'll visualize energy going and have them light. I'll light that one. I'll just go around, I'll do that through my whole temple. I'll visualize and feel and project the energy of activating the sigils that create the wards. I'll pick up my dagger and I will charge it and put it down. And I will pantomime it with as many props as I have to be in the place of those things. So maybe I have, not in this case, but maybe I would have candles in my room that stand in for the torches. And as I light them with the lighter, I'm visualizing myself going to them and casting fireball at them or something. This is exquisitely useful in magic. This is one of the beauties of living in the modern era where we do have this pop culture. You can easily overlay the astral fantasy with your real magic. And when you do that, you're aligning the Trinity of Self. You're actually aligning yourself with your higher intention. You're actually making it one thing. Because normally, your awareness is only on the material world. And so when you're thinking, I'm going to light the candle now, So you light a candle, and that's all you're fucking doing is lighting a candle. That's it. But if you also overlay some astral stuff, and this is not just a candle. This is an energetic battery that holds my intention. And if I push energy to light the candle into it, and in my mind's eye, I'm astrally projecting that energy into it. I'm visualizing flame coming off my finger, leaping over and lighting the candle. And then I just kind of go like that and light it. I have aligned the two realities so that they're very close together. In the astral world, there is a magical candle. In the material world, there's a material candle. And in my mind, the two are now overlaid over each other. They are the same in my mind. Do that through the whole ritual. And if you don't have like a bazooka level energy blast happening in your ritual, that's your own fucking fault. Because you're just not doing it right. But that's, people go like, oh, how do you get all this? That's why, because I don't just, when it says in the book, now light the candle, I don't just light the candle. When it says consecrate the thing, I don't just, oh, spirit, please give this thing your energy, blah, blah, blah. No, I visualize the spirit picking it up and bleeding on it, or so I do something that really makes it obvious that in this spiritual realm. That's how you do it. That's like some of the most important things you can do. So I guess we don't have anybody else lined up, do we?
No, not right now. It's a quiet night. That you touched on something that has been I don't know. I don't really have a question formed with this so much, so I guess I'll just say some of my thought process. I've been listening to my practice is kind of like a fucking newspaper clipping fucking ransom note of just picking shit from everywhere. So I follow a bunch of different.
A lot of people start that way because you don't know what is your like focus yet. Like you may find a focus at some point, but yeah, keep going.
But so with that context in mind, I listen to a bunch of different podcasts from a bunch of different, streams and everything. And I've been listening to these people who are very much into traditional witchcraft, which apparently is different than Wicca. Tangent?
Yeah, well, because Wicca, there's a lot of, look, let's not get too deep in this because I don't like, I don't mind talking about left-hand path versus right-hand path. I don't mind talking about certain things because there's a clear delineation that is philosophical, but when it comes to differences in traditions, people get very caught up in collectivist or traditionalist or identitarian ideas, and it gets you into trouble. But I'm not saying don't understand them. I'm just saying my caution is there's a lot of tribalism in the magic and occult community. There's a lot of it.
Yeah.
And it gets ugly real fast. This is one reason why I like being on the left-hand path, because generally people don't get like that. It's if you're either into chaos magic or the left-hand path, you can be very eclectic and people applaud it. If you're into witchcraft, they'll get mad at you for working with demons potentially. If you're into Wicca, for example. If you're into shamanism, they'll get mad at you for working with demons. If you're a demonolator, they might get mad at you for working with Jesus. So you got to be careful a little bit because people get a little weird and they get a little tribalistic and insular. So, but go ahead. Yeah, there is definitely different schools of thought on that. Yes.
But yeah, so one thing that they were explaining, because I have people connected with me, as you know, who are very into the pagan communities, which ties in with Wicca very closely in this case. And they have something called the mysteries, which I never fucking understood. And I just had it explained to me of the mysteries are something that the mystery is something that cannot be explained, but something that you have to experience for yourself.
Sure. Yeah.
I can definitely say I don't think from an outsider's perspective that the mysteries that they're preaching, on some of these groups that I know of, fuck the ATC, gonna plant my flag on that hill. Fuck the ATC, man.
What's the ATC? I think I've heard that other person talk about it. I forget.
Aquarian Tabernacle Church. It's a Wicca group.
See, as soon as you get that going, fuck you. Like, if I ever started an order, it would be a very open order. There would be an inner circle, yes. There would be some kind of, like, dark secret chamber, absolutely, because that's part of the fun. But if I started an order, it would be a very open environment, and it'd be like, practice and study what you want. Like, that's not... Like, the metaphysics would be, like, it would be a non-dualistic order for sure. I'd probably say, this is for non-dualists. But other than that, it'd be like, practice whatever, be as eclectic. Yeah. But go ahead.
But, yeah, just, I'm making a bunch of tangents, but just really quick, everybody who's watching, you, if you know about the ATC or anything, or you've thought of joining, DH is normally the one who speaks his mind, speaks freely. You know, I tend to be the person who tries to play nice and whatever. Fuck the ATC. No, don't. They're a bunch of fucking jack-offs. Don't do it.
Johan wants to call.
Run.
I want you to finish that thought, but Johan's willing to talk on Discord. Somebody just messaged me. So finish that thought. Tell us why. Okay. What's wrong with the ATC? What? I don't usually like to get into petty squabbles, but I think I know enough about why that I would concur. It's more like a religion at that point. And I'm opposed to most religions, so...
It is very... In short, if I was to... Yes, it's more of a religion than anything. There's a bunch of fucking... Because I know people that are unfortunately tied into it, It would be a whole stream unto itself, but they very much practice the religious aspects and use... You're not doing what we like, so we're going to punish you for it.
Yeah, they're right-hand path fuckers. Yeah, fuck them.
They don't practice what they preach, and they also, I don't even think they believe in what they preach. It's a cult. Yeah.
Yeah, fuck that. If you're going to be in a cult, be in one that serves you or don't join it. You know, be in a cult of one, right? That's what I say. Be in a cult of one.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, you can have allies that are also in cults of one.
But I guess... To button off this topic, I want to get Johan in real quick. Do you think that there's any quote-unquote mysteries or anything related to the left-hand path where it's just something that you have to...
Sure.
Something that you wouldn't even feel comfortable telling somebody
in
the
sure.
book?
No, sure, absolutely. I mean, I think... So what they call the mysteries, I might call gnosis.
Yeah. Same shit, different name.
Yeah, because that's the thing in magic, is that doesn't mean that there isn't subtle differences, because there are. I think that what they might be talking about is a little different, but there's a thing that I call Satori, or some people call Zen, or you might call, these different feelings. You can also call it gnosis. The mysteries, look, there's different interpretations of that term too, let's be honest. There's different interpretations of that term. You know, there's the Hermetic mysteries, there's this mystery, that mystery. So what we're really talking about is some traditional form of a mindset where you transcend the one-dimensional or two-dimensional reality that you think you live in, and you become aligned and aware and conscious and capable of experiencing multidimensionality in a unified way. You become enlightened, basically. You have a moment of Zen, you have a moment of Satori, and it may even be a full-on ego disillusionment moment. Now, that might not be what they're working towards in the ATC, but it's probably in the same spectrum. I don't know, because I don't know these people. I don't know what they're preaching.
Yeah.
But if you're talking, you can have the what is it? Like, each of the gods had their mystery, right? Their mystery. And in other cultures might call it the weird. There's a lot of different ways to say it. And I don't worry about that. What I like, sometimes we can get a little too crazy on what each tradition says. Let me tell you something that's a big secret, okay? None of this is that complicated.
Yeah.
It's really not. And that's what makes it a secret, is that it's really easy. In some ways, it's so ridiculously easy that you think it's bullshit when I tell you how easy it is. Like when I tell you guys that imagination is basically astral. If you imagine it, it's in the astral. You've made it. You've summoned it. You've created it. Your imagination and the astral are basically, I'm not going to say exactly the same thing. I'm going to say that they're like perfect reflections of each other. What you imagine and what is in the astral are basically the same thing. Now, what you see in your imagination is not what is there in the astral, in the sense that, oh, for me, King Paimon has red robes. And that means that in the astral he has red robes and everyone must see red robes. Not going to happen like that. But the symbol of what red robes might mean will be reflected in the astral, in that someone else will see in their imagination something that has a similar meaning as red robes. Something will have a similar connotation. So like a lot of people report seeing a very bright, brilliant crown on King Paimon's head, shining like the sun. Some people it looks like a crown with a lot of spikes. Some people it's like just a little single, jewel on a stem or something. There's all these different ways it's pictured, but everybody sees something, or a really bright halo even, right? So there's all these different interpretations of it, but something about that is there. Something about that is there for a lot of people. Not everybody, but a lot of people will see that. That is because there's a collective unconscious truth about it. And so, like I tell people, it's not very complicated. We overcomplicate it because we try to fit it into a tradition, or because we think it's supposed to be these complicated, arcane things, when really we're overcomplicating it. Those arcane things that were so mysterious, part of what makes them magical is because they're mysterious to you. It's one of the reasons why I created sigil script, and I still don't memorize it. Like, people say, like, what does that say back there? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, if I didn't know what it meant, I wouldn't know what it meant. Like, it just, I don't know. With the exception of one or two letters that are easy to remember, like the A, I have no idea what the letters mean. Like, that's my anchor letter. That's it. So it's meant to be gobbledygook, and there's a reason for it. I'm not saying that's what the ancients did. I'm just saying that you as a practitioner need to understand that reality is monist. It is non-dualistic. It is simple. When I say it's simple, that doesn't mean that it is without complexity. It means that it's like grand unified field theory, right? If you can figure out that one equation, you can explain the whole universe. So it's simple in the sense that it's really not a complicated thing to understand, but to put it into practice requires some creativity and some imagination. And that's kind of everything. Everything else is just sauce for the goose. Everything else is just window dressing. So pick your window dressing and really pick it. Like really, really, really use it. Like we were saying earlier, if you're using Christian magic, you're reading the Psalms, then you better fucking believe in King David. Right?
Yeah. I really feel like it's one of those things. Some people can connect and understand better from, I'm going to use the term math, but not that, from a mathematical, calculating everything. But really, like you said, it's all very simple. It's shut off the part of your brain sometimes that wants to put everything in a box. Mm-hmm. And just do art. Like when you make music, the rules for music are make sound. If you want to understand that better and contextualize it through a Western music theory analysis, or microtonal, whatever, that's just helping you maybe understand why or what. All you need to make music is just start making sound.
Yeah,
that's it.
Same thing with magic. If you don't know where to start, go into your cupboard, get a tea light, fucking charge it with your intention, light it and burn it down, and that's it. That's magic. Is it the best magic? Some people can move mountains with a simple thing like that. Don't worry about it. Just keep playing until you find something that feels right and gets you results. And then don't worry about, is there a better way? Can I do this? Let me make it a scientific process to see if I can. Don't do that. That's not the point of magic. Is to do magic, not to have a result. I know that flies in the face of so many. I get so many arrogant like chaos. Well, you should be doing this like a science, and you should be like perfecting the. That's your way. For me, it is nothing. I don't care if it's I got $5 blowing at me on the street. That's my prosperity. The fact that it's the result of a spell is enough. Like the fact that I'm doing magic and something happens is enough. I don't need to change who the president is in magic to be happy. Although I might try. That is not magic. It is, but that's not the point. The point is to have that magical feeling. The point is to have that moment of, whoa, that was cool. Even if it's just my friend called me because I did a ritual for it. That's all it takes. It's to find that beauty in those moments, you know. So yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking. I like that.
Helphicine is asking an interesting question. Hellspawn is asking an interesting question.
I actually. So, you want to get to Johan because he's been patiently waiting. I did
No,
see
fuck
that.
him, yeah, of course.
I
We'll
want to
get to
get to that question. Let's get to it right after Johan.
Yeah, let's bring Johan in. Let me join
right.
you in the channel. I gotta mute you. Don't let me forget tomorrow when I'm playing games with you and I can't.
Yeah, this motherfucker, we muted each other on Discord, and then the next day we got together for games, and we're like speaking to each other, couldn't hear one another. Like, what the fuck is happening? We both had each other muted from fucking stream the other night.
And my wife said in the movie thing, Kung Fu Hustle is also excellent. Yes, it is. And we were talking about the movies that are magic. That's a good. That's got a couple really good magical lessons in it. I wish I saw that earlier. All right, let me. Yeah, let me jump in here.
They're on Discord, and then the next day we got together for
All right,
games.
Johan, turn your microphone. Turn your volume off.
How's that?
You sound
good.
good there.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I had to turn down the external speaker.
Yeah, what's going on, man?
Hey, how's it going?
I am gonna play. I'm gonna play a little bit of a bastard right now. Who was it? David Morgan, I'm pretty sure, said that he's secretly. Here it is. Yeah, David Morgan. I'm secretly quite excited to have Johannes Josef von Engelstadt on tonight. Well, it's not a secret anymore, motherfucker.
Awesome. Thanks much.
Yeah, how you doing, dude?
Good. Really enjoying the conversation tonight. Really like both of your perspectives on magic as an art. Because, there in the occult community, there are so many boxes people try and put you into and so many little rigid ideologies. And somehow I've always found myself in the spaces in between them. I remember over the years, a lot of edgy chaots and minimalists have always characterized me as an arch traditionalist, but among, say, fundamentalist Crowleyans and people who really feel that you need to cross the T's and dot the I's on everything in the old books, I'm regarded as a totally reckless and an irresponsible innovator who plays fast and loose with everything. But it's not an accident that magic has been called the magic art.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Exactly.
and what good is an art if you can't be creative in it, and if you can't take the elements and be creative with them?
Yeah, fuck the color by numbers. I want to go outside the lines.
Well, hold on now. If you guys recall from Become the Maelstrom, I specify, though, all good art requires limitation.
True.
You can't have art if you can do anything. Art requires an edge of a canvas, a palette of colors, a restriction of medium. And this is important. This is why I say you will find that you'll have two schools of thought. People who say magic has no rules, and if you put rules on it, you're limiting yourself. But then there's people who have nothing but rules, and they don't seem to be limited either. So I'm trying to tell you guys that magic always has rules, and it always has laws, but there are no universal laws and no universal rules.
Mm-hmm.
Magic itself is boundless, but for you to practice it requires a box, requires laws, requires a limit. It's kind of like when I say, if you want to swim, right? The only way to swim is to get traction in the water. And the only way to do that, well, you don't grab the water and hold it, and you don't pretend like all you got to do is just will yourself through the water. You kind of have to understand that you and the entire ocean are working against each other. And if you want to move, you've got to push against that whole ocean with your hands. And you got to cup the water, and you got to pull yourself through the water. That's how you swim. You don't swim by punching your way through the water. You don't swim by just shooting yourself. There has to be a sense of contextuality of being a box, right? Like you said, you have to make a box. you have to do that. And that flies in the face of all the non-dualistic mumbo jumbo that I talk about, because I'm constantly saying, oh, you are everything, you're this and that, there is no difference, there is a separation. But at the same time, if you don't create that, because magic is part of Maya, it is not part of the ultimate truth. The ultimate truth actually transcends magic. The ultimate truth takes magic and pisses on it. It says, magic is an illusion too, fool. The truth is nothing like this. But so magic is like, oh my goodness. It's like, come on, brain, kick in. Like Axl Rose, oh fuck.
What? That's not.
Yeah, no, it'll make sense in a minute.
I'm gonna trust you on that. That's wasn't expecting fucking Guns N' Roses to.
Guns N' Roses. That's what I couldn't think of. It's like that Guns N' Roses albums. You know, the two albums he did, Use Your Illusion and Use Your Illusion 2. Use Your Illusion is magic. Learning to use your illusion. That's magic. So that's what I'm saying. So Maya has limitation. Maya is the illusion of limitation and separation. And another word for Maya is magic. Magic, Maya. Maya means magic, dreams. Look up the word Maya, type it into Google, and get a full list of all the words that it means. It doesn't mean just one word. It's like a whole bunch of words that it means.
I'm on it.
Probably the two coolest words it means is magic and dreams. And when I say magic and dreams, Maya is reality in that culture. Maya means reality, but it also means dreams and magic. It's a cool ass word if you really want to look it up.
Yes, and sorry.
Go ahead.
And exactly, it's helpful to work within a framework, even if you build the framework for yourself, starting out with elements that were already there. That was one of the things I loved about Become the Maelstrom is it incorporates a lot of the traditional elements that I've always been fond of, but in really interesting new ways.
Yeah, I think that's because I hate looking at those old grimoires and saying, all right, so this is like a religious practice. Some of this is bullshit. This is a bind, so that you'll never know what's really supposed to be there. Like this is a blind. I mean, this is meant to be hidden knowledge. So how do I make it work without the hidden knowledge? What do I do? It doesn't tell you how to actually perform the magic. It just says combine. It's basically like a cookbook. And it's like, if you do these steps, something happens. It doesn't tell you how to really do magic, because like Jasonius was talking about with his Qigong or whatever he was saying before. If you're not feeling the energy, if you're not doing that part, it's empty. It's hollow. That's the difference between someone who is literally just acting out a magic ritual and someone performing it. I can watch somebody acting out a magic ritual and know it's not going to work, or it's going to have very little going on. It's going to do next to nothing. If you're sitting there and you got your Necronomicon open and you're just talking in a boring voice and you're just blah, 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 and you're looking at your candle and you blah, 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 and it's dead. You're just going through the motions. It doesn't count.
Exactly. You really have to put yourself into it.
Yeah. You have to put your emotional. You have to, just like in the Bruce Lee, Enter the Dragon. In the beginning, when he's training the guy, and he's having him go ahead and punch me, and he goes to punch him, and he blocks it easily and punches him in the face. He's like, no, do it again with feeling. He just keeps giving it back to him because he's just. I need more emotional content. It's exactly like that. It's exactly like that. Like that scene is another good magical moment. It really is, because you need to have that emotional, not just emotional. You need to have the feeling. It has to have feeling. If you don't have that context, it's empty. And if it's empty, it's not doing anything. Magic is a paradigm gate. The way it works is you are leaping to a reality that exists external to the one that you're currently in. And the only way to do that is to resonate with that energy, that you need to resonate with the universe where the thing is happening so well that you literally just kind of like the movie Sliders, you jump into another universe where that thing's happening, and your consciousness has to vibrate in the same way, like your intellectual conscious, your mind has to vibrate the same way as the mind in the target. And when you leap there, you won't even know you changed anything. You'll think it's the same world but the thing that you wanted will be on your agenda board, basically, and that's what will happen. And that requires changing you. Magic works by changing you. I don't care what anybody else says. Oh, you're manipulating energy and you're changing the world. No, you're not. I don't believe that for a moment. I think what changes is you. You change. You do the leap. You move to the universe where the reality that you want to see exists. That's my TED talk.
Because if you are the one doing the experiencing, then what's got to change if you're going to change the experience?
Right. And let's not forget the key word that we all use in modern magic is manifestation. That's something that I don't know when that entered the lexicon, but it's always been there for me. Manifestation, what does that mean? Google that word. Most people, I think we had this conversation last time, Johan, when it was just me and you in a private conversation.
Making something, I won't say visible, but making something perceivable.
Right. It's basically, so manifestation by itself just means the perception of, like the experiencing of. I think it's pretty equal to the word experience. So, but it's got a slightly different color to it, like a slightly different weight to it.
I'm pulling up right here, according to Oxford Languages.
I get proven wrong.
Noun.
It's gonna be Oxford, some fucking British dude.
An event, action, or object that clearly shows or embodies something, especially a theory or abstract idea, or also the action or fact of showing an abstract idea.
So the word itself, if you really dwell on that word and what it's telling you, the concept behind manifestation is actually a very weird concept. Because it is not actually a verb, it's not an adjective, and it's not a noun. It is the act of experiencing a verb, action, or noun. So when something manifests, it is brought into your sphere of awareness somehow. You can have like external manifestation is like, I couldn't even say that because everything manifests in your personal subjective experience. So what does it mean to manifest something? It means to experience something. If we really run it down to its fundamental meaning, it means to experience something.
In a way, you could say that manifestation and experience are complements of one another, just like if to manifest is to show, then to experience is to see.
Yep. So if you're doing magic, you're seeking a manifestation. So if you understand that word correctly, you're not actually trying to cause something to happen. What you're trying to cause is the experience of something. There's a subtle but incredibly important difference between those two concepts. If I do magic to cause something to happen, it will almost always fail. If I do magic to cause a manifestation, which is to thus cause the experience of something, now that may sound like not much different, but it is. When you're causing a manifestation, you're causing yourself to have the experience of something. This means that if you're trying to cause something to happen through magic, you're trying to break natural law. You're trying to say, I want, something to happen, and magic is going to make it happen. Well, then you get a scientist that will come in later and say, well, that was actually swamp gas. There wasn't really a spirit glowing in the forest that night. And he'll be able to prove it to you, and your whole belief in magic will be shut down because you really thought that was a spirit over there. What I'm telling you is, if you did magic to summon a spirit, and off in the woods you see a flame, and you're like, holy shit, it manifested. It really happened. And if that scientist walks over and says, no, it was just swamp gas, you say, yes, but that's where the spirit was. The swamp gas was the manifestation of the spirit. The swamp gas was the medium. This is why we call it manifestation medium. This is why a candle or incense or a scry mirror, these are manifestation mediums because they are an easy way for us to notice what we're looking for. You're not causing, like if you summon a spirit into a candle and it takes on a weird shape or it flickers or something, you didn't cause that candle to flicker. Probably what caused that to flicker was some imperfection in the oil or something. It flickered, but your observation of that flicker triggers the manifestation in the astral physical matrix of the thing you're looking for. And it's a very fine line. This is where I almost get myself into trouble when I'm explaining this, because I really have to be careful, because it can sound like what I'm telling you is magic is complete and utter bullshit. You're making it up as you go along. It's not really real, but that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that, like I've said many times, just because you can explain it away doesn't mean it wasn't real. I'm saying that reality that you think it is bullshit. The reality as it is something much more wonderful. And that's the mysteries that we're talking about. We're talking about the mysteries. That's one of the mysteries. I cannot explain it to you, but you can experience it. Everybody who practices magic long enough will have a moment where they can't explain something they observed. They intellectually know it must be explainable, but they can't explain it. And they'll have an epiphany and say, yeah, it did happen. It did happen. It did happen.
I guess one could say that that really, when you consider manifestation and experience together, there's a kind of a kind of complementarity there, sort of like the yin and yang in the Chinese monad, where it's really a single process. And the problem with what you said earlier, the thinking of it in terms of making something happen, is you're taking yourself out of it, and so it becomes divided into subject and object. Yep,
exactly.
And then you get these questions and doubts about, did it really happen? You know, in the teachings of Don Juan, where
I love Don Juan, one of my favorite books. Oh man.
Oh yes, where Don Juan has gotten young Carlos to experience flight. And he keeps asking Don Juan, but did I really turn into a bird? Did I really fly? And Don Juan was like, what sort of a question is that?
It's a ridiculous question. Of course you did. Mm-hmm. So my body changed? No, your body was still there. But it wasn't your body at the time was basically the message. And he didn't say that. He said it in such an obtuse way that it made sense. And
it was sort of like, well, did you feel your body change?
Yeah, exactly. That book is, that one. Like when I heard that, I'm like, here's a master. This is a master. I don't know if Don Juan existed. Maybe he's just an imaginary guy that he created, like, almost like with Socrates and Plato. Like not that he made up Plato per se, but he's recounting a story. Never have happened.
If he did create the character of Don Juan, then the character certainly did, almost develop a sentient existence of its own. Exactly. Yeah. It reminds me of once in one of his talks, Michael Bertio was talking about 19th century occultists, and the question was raised, well, didn't they just make it all up? And he says, well, in the beginning, that's exactly what they did. But when they kept acting on it over and over again over the course of time, energies were drawn to it, things responded, and it became a reality on the inner plane.
Hold on a second. That wasn't under the heat lamp the whole time, was it? Oh, it probably cooked.
Huh?
All right, just throw it out, honey.
I think there's something in his household going on.
Yeah, we were it's probably too hot, honey. It probably cooked. Just throw it out. She was gonna feed her snake. She fell asleep, and it was under the heat lamp.
Okay. I was wondering, where did the heat lamp come in? And
I've done that. I did that really bad one night. I did that, and it was actually right under the lamp for like 8 hours, and I was like, why is it smelling here? I'm like, oh shit!
Crispy rats.
And it was literally it like had a hole burnt through it. It was like the worst. I was like, oh.
What you were saying, that's the thing that there is magic in what has been done before in the traditions and everything, because people have practiced it for so long. There's a lot of energy there, but I think a lot of people get hung up on it, and they really need to. You can just make it yourself. There's nothing stopping you from just doing your own thing.
Yeah.
There's still power in it.
I'm reading a lot of conversations in the comments where I'm just like, I want to jump in and like change some of the things that they're saying, but you know, this is why I keep telling you guys it's way simpler. There's a lot of dogma that gets shot around. There's a lot of superstition that gets shot around, and you can shoot down virtually any dogma or superstition very easily. But, and this bud is bigger than the ones I had that dream about that you probably might remember. Superstition and dogma are useful in magic. So as much as I'm downplaying them and saying they're not true, without them, magic wouldn't work, right? You need to be able to use dogma and superstition, because let me be honest with you, you don't need candles, but you do need something material. You don't need anything, but you do need something. None of these things by themselves are special. Like a sigil is just ink on paper. It doesn't.
I remember
do
anything. I once knew a few kind of ultra minimalists in magic who had this idea of what they called pure magic.
Mm-hmm.
And that was that all you needed was pure intent, and everything, literally everything else was unnecessary. And well, my first response to that was, "But that takes all the fun out of it." But besides that, it's like, well, how do you focus the intent?
Yeah, I would say that everything is based on intent. That's not the question. Isn't that, because everything you do is based on intent. Intent starts everything. Before you can do anything, you have to have intent. So intent is the word.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's
right?
not that intent is not important. It's
right.
It's kind of it's like the Force. It's the basis of everything.
Right. Exactly.
But,
it's like in the Christian Bible, it is the word of God. That is intent. Mm-hmm. It is like the Force in Star Wars. That is what it is. It precedes everything. It precedes will. It precedes action. So you can't intent on purpose. Intent precedes purpose. You can, so what I'm telling you then, so here's the paradox. How does that work in magic? If I'm telling you that you have to do magic intentionally, what am I saying to you? If you have no control over your intention, how do you do something intentionally? This is a paradox. It's an important one. Because I will tell you, you can get in the way of your intention.
Mm-hmm.
So how can you do that? The trick here is to recognize that everything that you do at every moment is your intention. Everything.
Mm-hmm.
That includes your denial or your resistance to your intention. So how do you get around it? Well, there's one secret, there's one trick. There is no such thing as free will in the sense that you can change the outcomes or actions. Free will, all that is, it gets complicated because you, who you think you are, does not have free will. Your ego has no free will. Your ego is just along for the ride. Your ego wants to be the boss, but it never will be. Your ego is what responds to everything. It reflects everything and says, I like this, I don't like this. Who and what you really are, however, transcends free will. Because it is all will, and it is all causality all at once. That is what you really are. So when someone says, oh, I have free will, and my first response is, what do you have will that's free from? What is your will free of? What is your will in opposition to that it can do itself anyway? Nothing. You can do nothing that is not preordained by your intention. Call it causality, call it the Force, call it the word, whatever you want to call it. It's already set. But that is what you are. You are that intention. You are the word. You are the Force. Your true self is that. So it's a transcendent paradox. It sounds like bullshit, but you got to roll that through your brain enough till it makes sense, and it does make sense. So what do I mean by aligning your magic with your intention? What I mean by that is, it's almost like living by the seat of your pants. It's basically a form of Taoism. It's a form of Wu Wei. It is allowing your true nature to be what it is and to not dwell on it being good or bad. Doing magic rituals is not better than not doing magic rituals. So when you have friends saying, you don't need to do any of this, all you need is intent, they are right. But then that's kind of boring, right? You need to do, like, how are you doing magic then, right? It's kind of boring. It's like, what? Well, my point is that magic is bullshit. Not that it doesn't do anything, not that it doesn't serve a purpose, or that it's not exciting or fun, but it is. When I say it's bullshit, that doesn't mean that I'm a liar or that these people are shills that practice it. I mean that the importance we place on it is bullshit. The idea that this candle does anything when I light it is bullshit. But the fact that I go through the process creates, as I said, a paradigm gate through which it makes an excuse for my consciousness to go zing to another reality where the thing I wanted happens. I know that's hard to wrap heads around because it requires a lot of different disciplines to be understood. But it is that simple. So, to perform magic really means, in my opinion, to align with your higher intentions, to get out of your own way, whether that means to light a candle and go bibbidi bobbidi boo, or just go to work every day and keep stacking those dollars till you get the house you want. Both of those are magic.
It's a little bit like, is art the paintbrush or the sculptor's chisel or the musician's violin? No. All of these things are vehicles through which art can be practiced, but none of them is art itself.
None of them are art, right? Exactly. Art is a nebulous mystery. It's one of the mysteries. It absolutely is.
And with intention, I sometimes think that intention and attention are very closely related.
Certainly, what your reality is certainly made up of what you perceive, and what you attend to creates reality. Absolutely.
Once there's a story told of a student who went to study with a Zen master and studied with him for several years, and he was about to leave and asked the master to, he handed the master a piece of paper and a pen, and, he said, I want you to write something for me that would kind of be like your last gift to me. And so the Zen master wrote, handed it back to him, and he looked, and there's the word attention. And, what's this? And he says, attention. Well, what is attention? And the Zen master replied in his, thick accent, attention is attention. And that's all he would tell him, and basically told him, go figure that out.
Well, that's easy, actually. That's actually really easy. Attention, one word, is a space tension. Attention is a tension. When you're paying attention to something, you're not relaxed. Your conscious awareness is intensely attentive. It's tense. It's tensed onto something. It's tensed into a spotlight, into noticing something. So what is the deeper meaning of that? I'll let you play with that one, because that was a whole video series on its own. Attention is
the mysteries.
Attention is a tension. It's like that. It's like that phrase, realize, realize, realize. It's a lot like that. Attention is a tension.
Or like in the old Hawkwind sound where the guy is chanting over and over again, you get nowhere, and then it turns into you get no air, and then finally it ends up being you're getting nowhere.
Yeah, you're getting nowhere, yeah. Yep. Because you don't need to be attentive to be aware. I know that's hard to believe, but it's completely true.
Attention is focused, but awareness can be ambient.
Right. So when someone says, so what did the master do?
He just he just left it at that.
Well, what he really did, he said, Master, I want one final parting gift from you, right?
And he
So
gave him the word attention.
the master's final gift was attention,
Mm-hmm.
because the master was no longer going to see him again.
Mm-hmm.
So he was no longer attention in him, and he was no longer part of his awareness. He was no longer paying attention to him. So he gave him one final bit of attention, and that was it. It's a beautiful little roundabout, and it's the koan meaning is so many layers deep that's why it's a beautiful koan. It's glorious. I love it. It's like the when a tree falls in the forest, does it make a sound? You have so many levels of truth to it. Well, what is sound? Well, sound is a vibration in the air, and well, no, it's not. Sound is a sound. Vibration in the air is a vibration in the air. When you have a sound, you need someone there to hear it. So then, no, in that sense, then there is nothing. There is no tree falling in the forest. But then the whole idea of there being a tree in the first place requires someone. The whole idea of there being a vibration of any of that. So, but then there's one final thing. The key word to that koan is the word, and no one is there to hear it. Well, you are no one. So when you play with that even further, it'll make your head spin even more. Because in Zen, no one, they will tell you, there is enlightenment, but no one to be enlightened. There is a tree falling in the forest, but no one to hear it. Means the same thing. If you can figure those two statements out, you're pretty much there. It's the understanding that the one that you think you are is an illusion. You're no more real than the sound is. You're part of the cacophony of the stuff that you're experiencing. So.
And to go back. Oh, go on.
I said I feel like I need to ground us out with a fart joke or something. That was a little.
And I'm going to bring us right back. I guess you got to release attention, huh?
A little Rabelaisian humor, yes.
So I think we should close it up. Johan, do you have any other beautiful comments or questions or contextual?
Oh yeah, just wanted to mention, talking about the grimoires. There's a grimoire that I used to work with a lot in my younger days, and still do sometime. That's not really as well known in our circles, called the 6 and 7 Books of Moses.
Okay.
It originally came out in German in the mid-19th century and was basically a kind of anthology of magical writings attributed to the legendary Dr. Faustus. And more scholarly occult types love to dismiss it as a corrupt or even spurious text, but it's been used for many generations, on the one hand, in hoodoo, root work, conjure, obia, and a lot of the Afro-diasporic traditions, and on the other hand, in Pennsylvania Dutch Hexencraft. And they even use it in ways that are somewhat different from the original grimoire methods, primarily used in things like candle burning and so forth. But the fact is that those traditions have worked with that grimoire so much that whatever its origins were, for all we know, it might have even been some German in the 1800s drawing up a bunch of magical diagrams and attributing them to Dr. Faust. But having been worked in those traditions for almost 2 centuries now, you talk to anybody in those traditions that uses it, and they can tell you what effective power they've experienced with it.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, it's
look, we all know Christians that get results from using prayer in the Bible. We all know kids who say, Bloody Mary in a mirror 17 times and shit their pants. We all know that these things happen, and definitely, I mean, I would say it's a little bit more than a skeptic would say. Obviously I'm doing this, but they're not entirely wrong either. So Yeah, there's something to
And-
everything.
And in practically any religion you can name, there are prayers and prayer-like activities that, when you look at it from a magical framework rather than rather than the context of the specific religion, it all starts to look a lot like magic.
Yep. No dice controller. I actually haven't been sick in about 5 years. Was the last time I got a. Was it? No. 3 years? 2 years? 2 or 3 years. I haven't had a cold in about 2 or 3 years. So, I'm actually, my voice is going because I've been talking a lot. My throat's getting swelled up. So, that's one of the reasons why I'm like, all right, I think I'm good. It's been 3.5 hours. So, this gives me my talk time for the week. So, all right, guys, I think I'm done. Let's do the Buy Our Crap segment part 2. If you want to support my show, if you want to support what I'm doing, this week I laid off. I've been very distracted by all of the global bullshit going on with the Great Reset, with the, stolen election, whether you like them or hate them. If you're paying any attention at all, you know it was stolen. Even if you don't like him, you got to admit that was not. If you pay attention to the evidence, it was stolen. So there's a lot of shit going on that I'm doing a lot of magic and attention on. I'm obsessed in the sense that it's a concern. I know, Johan, you're into it with me too. Like we talk about that a lot more than magic lately when we do talk. It's definitely got my attention. It's definitely been a pain in my ass. So I didn't do a video this week. I don't know if I will do one before the end of the week. I will try to do one before next week's stream. But it is the holiday season, so that's on top of everything. One thing I'd like to tell everybody is, unconfirmed but certainly in the air, is some kind of dangerous lockdown situation around, especially the Americas soon. Sometime between now and the middle of January, it's very likely that we will have not a coup-related lockdown, but a political lockdown. Something related to what's going on. There's a lot of mumblings about martial law and all this stuff, and it's not unfounded. There's a lot of stuff going on. I watch people who pay a lot of attention to, we'll say, military movement, and there's a lot stirring, there's a lot going on. And I wouldn't be doing a service to you guys if I didn't tell you that spiritually I feel something coming too. And I keep telling you guys it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. And that means no matter who wins this thing, it's going to get worse. So I want you guys to heed my words a little bit. You don't have to go out of your minds. I don't think, we're not talking about Mad Max. You don't need a bunker. You don't need years of food. You need a couple of weeks of backup food, water, maybe a month extra toilet paper, something like that. Especially if you're living in or near any of the major metro areas, especially if it's a blue city. Watch it, because it's a powder keg right now. Anybody who's paying attention knows it's at least a powder keg. Even if you don't agree that there's mumblings that it could happen, it's not going to take much. Everybody knows that if Trump turns this around, there's going to be riots. And if there's riots this time, especially if he's turned it around, almost certainly the Insurrection Act's going to be called and people are going to get rounded up. I can almost guarantee it. If Trump loses, there's a lot of butthurt people on this side that are going to do something. Everybody needs to have your brains on a swivel right now. Get your head on a swivel. Be prepared. Not in fear, because in fact, if you're prepared, you won't be scared. Just get your extra. Be prepared to be sitting at home watching TV for a week or two and, having a curfew. Be prepared for having, APCs on every corner, making sure people aren't doing stupid shit. Be prepared for something crazy. You got the QAnon people saying the internet's going to go down, it's going to be wild, everyone's going to get arrested. Then you have the more rational people saying it's just going to be an insurgent, using the Insurrection Act to shut down the riots. Be prepared. This is my public service message for you guys. Please be prepared. Take steps. Make nice with your neighbors for the week. Make sure that you can count on somebody if something happens. Treat it like a really bad hurricane season is coming, and there's at least 2 or 3 hurricanes. Like pretend you live in Florida in a trailer park, and tornadoes and hurricanes are coming, and just get your shit together for the winter. With luck, nothing will happen at all. Actually, no, that would be bad luck. I'm going to be honest with you. That would be bad luck. We need something like that to happen right now. The energy is too tense. it's not going to go back to normal. Once you stretch a rubber band this hard, you can't just like let it go and expect it to be fine. It's not. It's going to snap. So this is stretched to the breaking point. No, we're not all going to die hellspine. No, not at all. Well, actually, yes, I'm sorry. No, he's right. It's just not going to happen right now. Some of you will die. Some of you will die next week. Some of you will die next month. Some of you will die next year. Some of you will die 50 years from now. We will all die eventually. But this won't kill us all, though. So,
I would add, in response to the fears of certain judges and officials, even if the other side wins, there will be riots. Because
right. No matter who wins,
because
if
the other side wins, and I sure as hell hope they don't, their shock troops are going to be out in the streets demanding that that the politicians that they helped take over deliver everything they promised, and
they're going to be turning on each other and us. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And people are going to fight back. I mean, I know people who know people who know people, and there's a lot of people who are going, this is it. This is the final bell. If this doesn't get fixed, if this doesn't get, if it's, look, there's some people who are mad just because Trump lost, but most of the people who are rational are just mad because they know it was stolen. If they lost fair and square, they'd live with it, but it's clearly not what happened. So there's a lot of people who are going to do something stupid no matter what, but if it's not resolved amicably, if it's not resolved correctly, it doesn't matter who wins. It really doesn't. It's not going to matter. There's going to be violence and there's going to be craziness very soon. So could that be avoided? I'm going to say 20% yes. 20% yes. 40% it'll just be localized to a few cities. But I do think it's going to be widespread if it goes the way I see it. We could dodge it. Like 20% doesn't mean zero. It means 20%. It means I could be wrong. But I would absolutely get your shit together, please, guys, please. Especially before the holidays. And in January. It's like starting Christmas week into the middle of January is like when everyone's like expecting something to happen. Maybe it won't. And probably it won't. Maybe it's better for me to say probably it won't, but you should be prepared. Okay? So I'm going to stop banging that drum because I think you guys get it. I think you guys know I'm not just crazy. So, but yes, if you guys want to support me, the best way you can do it, like, share, and subscribe this video with like-minded people. As we often say, tell your friends and warn your enemies. This channel exists. These people exist. These lessons exist. This magic exists.
Fucking segue, dude.
Right? This is real. And I will like to say that I'm not claiming credit for the election chaos so much, but I will say that the Shadowgate project is definitely a big part of what's going on right now. Anybody who participated in that, you know that the goals of that project are playing out right now, right in front of you. Everything you're seeing, including my own misery dealing with it, is part of that project. It is absolutely a result of that. So I'm not saying that that's why Trump lost or why Biden won or any of that. I'm saying that the chaos, the pain, the shadow work that's going on, the dark night of the soul that's going on with everybody coming to recognize that the elite New World Order shit is real and they're going to crack down, and there's going to be, maybe not in America, but certainly forced vaccinations around the world, all this other stuff. That's all true, right? That's absolutely, true. And of course, I've got to be careful, and I've got to put the statement that when I said it's stolen, that is not my official statement, because YouTube can yank my channel if I say something like that. That is just my opinion. It is my opinion that it was this. So yeah. So guys, keep your eyes on the ball. And if you want to support my work, like, share, and subscribe, go to the links in the description. I've got a link tree there. Makes it really easy so that you can find everything. The Discord link is on the screen. It's discord.gg/6EETR, 2 capital E's. Basically sexy tree is what we call it.
And Shaman Sorcerer with Super Chat says, have a great night, brothers and sisters.
Oh, thank you, Shaman. Please email me soon to tell me what your schedule would be like for the next week or so to see if there's a night we can meet up. I'm going to wait on you for that because I know that like we've both been kind of busy with our schedules. So just let me know. Don't forget to email me. I still got you there. So I'd like to take care of the next consult whenever you want. So yeah, if you guys want to support me, my books are in the link tree. My book sales are down, I think, because it's the end of the world. Nobody's spending money. But, you know, if you guys want to support me, that's a good way to do it. And in the meantime, I'll leave it to you guys to say goodnight.
Yeah, everybody. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say thank you much and good night.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Johan.
fucking thank you for being on. I always love when you're here.
Oh, thank you.
And to all of you, JD isn't swearing anymore, so I'm gonna do it. To all of you glorious motherfuckers out there, we appreciate the fuck out of you. And mind the shadows, tell your friends, warn your enemies.
Motherfucking right. Hell yeah.
Hail yourselves.
That's right. Hail thyself. You are the Lord your God. There shall be no gods before you. Amen.
Yes, indeed.